get a hole or just,
Oh, you're kidding.
you know, no, no. So he convinced me, dude. At first, I was just like, "What the fuck do you need a lifetime warranty sock for?" You know. And then he brought up a good point about shit hitting the fan. And if you only had one socks for the rest of your life, dude, would you rather have a regular pair of socks, or would you rather have something that's guaranteed to last? And and I was sold, dude. I mean, he brought up a good point.
Okay. Hey, Dicelo. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I'm not sure if that word you said is a real word. Like supposedly is a real word, but I'm not sure supposedly is a real word.
Oh, supposedly.
Yeah. I mean, it might be. I'm just guessing that it's. I'm not sure. I have my doubts. Uh, I think maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm not judgmental about it because I know what you mean, and maybe it is a real word, but I think it's supposedly, not supposably.
Well, I feel like you're discriminating against the Bonics right now and like being really racist towards me.
Yeah, whatever. Words, words are how we use them.
Well, it sort of reminds me of like, isn't one of those like irregardless?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a word, I think, as well.
I use that one a lot.
Irregardless is sort of like a double negative.
Yeah, I like to spice it up a little bit, you know? Throw a little flavor in there.
English is currently under our ownership. The people who are alive speaking it. So I always I always support spreading the message that people did their thing with language and then we inherited what they passed on to us. And now as living souls upon this earth, it is now in our hands to do with language whatever we feel like doing to it, changing it, adding a new letter to the alphabet, making up new words, redefining things, changing definitions. Doesn't matter. It's literally that is our power that we currently are in possession of right now. So in a way, you can't be wrong however you speak, as long as you know what you mean by it. Language changes. That's just how it goes.
I got a big beef with the English language spelling. A really big beef. Like, I think we should go phonetics. Like, whoever came up with this is like, it's like a sorcery. Like cat spelled with a C, right? Like, what the hell? Why?
Yeah, I hear you, man.
It's one of my pet peeves.
Well, I mean, if we're doing that, you don't even need the letter C then. We can just get rid of C.
Yeah, I've said that many times. There should be no C there at all.
Right. S and K can take care, like, because C, right? C is a sense fitter or sense. Fuck me. Sorry. C is a fence sitter. It's like, okay, you're gonna be an S or you're gonna be a K, right? So yeah, we can just remove the C, and if it makes a K sound, write a K there. If it makes an S sound, write an S there. Like circle, right? Start spelling circle with an S. Or an S and a K, actually, since there's two C's in it.
Exactly.
Playing dual roles in the word circle. I didn't even mean to set myself up so well for that. But yeah.
It's three roles, actually, it plays. Because it's a K
I
as
just
well.
spelled it in my head. I was like, I spelled it in my head. I was like, SIRSLE. I was like, that don't make sense.
CIRC. Yeah. Two C's playing two different roles. Now there is a benefit to there is a flip side to it where it does benefit you as long as it is your native language and you just learn it naturally as a child, you know how babies learn how to speak and read and write and stuff like that comes so easily to them as compared to an adult. There is a pro side of that coin, you know, but it only activates when you're like studying Greek and Latin and German, right? Uh, but I mean, unless you're going to learn Greek or Latin or German or whatever, then there's really not too many benefits to you being raised speaking English the way we currently spell it. But it can give you insights, is what I'm saying. Like you're like more primed, is what I'm saying. You know, you're more primed to already sort of understand a lot of Greek and Latin and German words when you have this whole sort of crazy plethora of all these things that you're kind of used to, but sort of contradict each other in English. It's because they're all stemming from the influences they came from. And so it sort of primes you for adjusting easily to learning either, you know, any of those three. But that's not really a major benefit to most people. So maybe it is time for an English 2.0. You know, I could be down with that. Current English could be called New Old English because there's already an Old English called Old English. But we could, you know, we could move on from right now and call it New Old English.
Yeah, there's bigger problems in the world right now than that. But yeah, that definitely is a pet peeve of mine. The way they spell stuff, like, it doesn't make sense.
It exists in many languages, but English is maybe the most guilty of not following its own rules.
Like, I'll give you an example. Spell Xerox for me.
I don't know how, but does it start with an X?
That's right. It starts with
All
an
right,
X.
at least I got that. Yeah, okay,
Dude,
good guess, Fundy.
I was doing Uber one night. I
XER.
picked up the CF.
Go ahead, man.
I was doing Uber one night. I picked up the CFO of Xerox. This guy starts talking about cocaine and strippers. This guy was off the chain, bro.
Oh shit. Doesn't surprise me at all.
This guy was out of control.
I don't think it'd actually be that hard if English just transitioned into using 50 different symbols for spelling to spell everything just by the International Phonetic Alphabet. It might make some words longer. It would also make some words shorter, you know, because any word that has an SH or a TH or a CH, right? Those combinations would be reduced to a single symbol. So it would make some words longer, it'd make some words shorter, but I wouldn't be opposed to that. Going just purely phonetic spelling with the IPA.
Yeah, like
It's a
some
good.
things that make sense should be like could be agreed upon, right? Like the ch sound, right? Or the sh sound, SH or
Uh huh.
CH. Something that
Just
makes
replace those
sense.
with one symbol.
Can you?
Yeah, I mean, that's already been designed. The International Phonetic Alphabet has one symbol, you know, a letter assigned to every sound a human mouth can make, and out of the 120 sounds a human mouth can make, English uses about 54 to 56 of them. And so, yeah, instead of instead of the, you know, the vowel a being you know, give each of, you know, the vowel list is going to extend to 12 different vowels, and the consonants We're going to get rid of C, like we already discussed. No need for C at all. Doesn't exist anymore. And we're also going to get rid of the combination letters like CH, SH, and TH.
Okay, so how would you spell shout then?
Shout. So the sort of shh sound, right? Like you're shushing like a baby to sleep, or you're telling someone to be quiet, right? The shh. That itself wouldn't be SH. That would be its own sound because it is a identifiably single sound, right? That gets its own letter, and that letter has already been designated in the International Phonetic Alphabet. I mean,
What
honestly,
is it?
right? Like,
What is that letter?
I can't draw it for you, but I mean, I can show you an image of the symbol they use.
Now that's interesting. Exactly. That
It
sound should be designated. Now you're talking. Now that makes sense. Yeah.
it already has one. It already has one, man. If you should look up the IPA chart. You'll get a good Wikipedia page on it, and it'll have the graphic. It's just one sheet of paper, and you can actually ignore all you have to actually look at on it. Everything below it is about like African like click sounds and stuff like that. Just because, hey, every sound a human mouth can make gets its own letter, but it's divided up well. Just look up the International Phonetic Alphabet Chart or the IPA chart, and the only thing you need to look at is just like the top third section of it, and that will basically give you, as far as English goes, one symbol assigned to every sound we make. Because, like I said, we have 26 letters, right? We have 26 letters in the English alphabet, but we speak in 56 different sounds. And it's only because we combine these letters in different ways that it results in 26 letters are responsible for spelling out 56 different sounds. But the work's already been done. We all of us could just wake up tomorrow and start writing our books and writing our letters with those symbols instead of the goofy way we do it right now. It's already been
So
worked out.
who's the idiot? Who was the idiot that, like, we've got the letter S for that sound? So who was the idiot that, for example, decided to spell the word cereal with a C? Why does the S, the sound for breakfast cereal, why has it got a C in front of it? What halfwit did that? Or
Well,
every use
Now
of
you're
the
talking.
letter C?
Well, it's because English is a Germanic language, but that most of our words come from a Greek or Latin inspiration using the Latin alphabet, uh, and so it's we have all these inspirations of words and then the spelling of them, like ph, right? Whenever you see a word spelled with ph, that's because the symbol p meant something different in Greek. Like they had the same letter, but it made a different. Like, I'm not going to get into it, but basically, whenever you see something spelled kind of weird, that means it's from a Greek or Latin like inspiration. You know what I mean? And it's a lingering artifact of who we stole that word from. And it's time for it's time for an update. This has happened in other countries throughout the past, like 500 years ago, the emperor of Korea said, "All right, enough of this bullshit," and he just redesigned how everyone spells everything. Like it's about time for that in English. You know what I mean? Just to simplify it, just like many cultures have done.
Well, I can tell you there's no C in the Greek alphabet. There's alpha, gamma, delta.
I did find something interesting with the letter P, though. It could be periodolia or whatever that is, but if you look at the capital letter P, remember, I think I've shared this with you guys before. It actually looks like the male appendage. You got the shaft and you got the scrotum. And then if look at all the powerful words that start with P, like perfect, prince, price, professional, procreate,
Pray,
uh,
pour,
protection.
petty.
Oh, yeah.
It goes the other way too, unfortunately.
Potentially. And then if we look at the letter V, now that might be for women. You got vagina, vulva, and then if you look at the letter B,
Okay.
capital B, it almost resembles like someone's breasts or bosom
Sure.
or even their butt. Right? You got your bottom, your buttocks. It
That's a
could be
great
close to.
connection, dude.
Thank you.
Balls look like balls as well.
Balls. Yeah.
Balls, boobs, butt,
Boobs, butts, yeah.
bisex. Yeah. That sort
All
of
the major food groups.
that does, and also B being the second letter, right? I know that's not true in the Greek alphabet, or because they got, or is it alpha, beta? Yeah, it is even yeah, in the Greek alphabet as well. I've always wondered if the design of the capital letter B, and by the way, lowercase letters were like a later invention, right? Like ancient languages, they didn't have uppercase and lowercase. And so, just so you know, like the uppercase version of the English alphabet is the original version of the
Interesting.
symbols.
That
And
makes
so
sense.
when you see the letter B with its like two humps being the second, alpha, beta, A, B,
Oh yeah.
I have to suspect that the reason there's two lumps on the capital letter B is why it was placed in second place there.
Interesting observation. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, imagine standardizing like all these people who were standardizing English back then. I'm sure they had a lot to consider and the design and whatnot.
Yeah. And by the way, SC, I think the sigil, I guess I'll call it that. I think the sigil that is in the IPA, I think the tall S is the one responsible for making or representing the SH, shush sound. If you've ever seen that, Old English used to have it, and it's an abandoned letter that we no longer use. But I think that's the one that is associated with that sound. Have
That
you ever
makes
looked
more
up the
sense.
definition of have you ever looked up the definition of a word on Google or in the dictionary, and you see it written out regularly the way we all spell it, but then below it you see like in parentheses with like hyphens and funny looking letters? That's the phonetic, that's the IPA alphabet spelling it out phonetically.
Right, right. Good point there. Yeah. Imagine they have to spell it properly to make sense, huh? That's a good one, Fundy. Yeah.
I actually encourage every single, like whenever I get the chance, I always encourage people to learn the 56 relevant IPA alphabet, because if you learn the IPA chart of symbols, then you'll never have to ask a native speaker of a language you're learning how to pronounce a word properly, because you can simply just look up its phonetic IPA spelling, and it will, paint it like a clear picture to you with letters that specifically tell you what sounds to use.
So how many letters are they when you combine all those uh like the one you just said, in the IPA, how many letters are there total?
So so in total, right? Uh in total on the IPA chart, there's maybe 120, so maybe a little more. There's like 120. I'm gonna just go on a limb here and say no more than 140, but my best guess based on memory is that in all languages all across the world, there are only 120 to 140 different sounds anyone across the world ever makes to speak. Now, when it comes to English and most languages, most of them only utilize about 50. And
Yeah,
the go ahead.
I was just thinking there can't be that many. There's 140.
Well,
Like, shh,
well, what
there
you're not
can't be
thinking
that many.
about, what you're not thinking about is that the African click things also count.
Yeah, but we're not
Those
African, bro. We're not African.
right. Well, I'm telling you that the IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, its job is to give one symbol to every sound a human mouth can make
Oh, I
distinctly.
get you now. Okay, yeah.
And
Think about this, guys. So, sorry, go on.
when it comes to most, what if you were to say the 100 most spoken languages across the world, the 100 most, French, Chinese, Japanese, any of the Indian languages, Russian, English, whatever, right? All of us are capping out at like 55, basically. And so in order to basically never have to ask a native speaker of Russian, German, Portuguese, Spanish, English, German, French, it doesn't matter. You only actually have to learn about 50 letters. You could do that literally tonight, very easily. And then if you learn these symbols, you can say, read a sentence in Russian fluently. At least you'll sound like you're doing it. You don't know what the sounds you're speaking mean, but you will be pronouncing the words properly, because if you can just read it phonetically, then there's no other choice but to pronounce it correctly, because one
Yeah,
letter
this was
specifically
just
means a specific sound.
quickly. Just let me throw in. So you picture, and you've got Google Translate, and if everyone is doing this, you can speak a sentence in English, and then it will give you the phonetic way to say that in Russian, which you can then
Exactly.
read that out, and that will make sense to the Russian guy. He can answer in
Exactly.
Russian to the app, and the app will tell him how to say it in English. And neither person has a clue what they're actually saying in the other language, but they can both communicate with one another.
Yeah.
Oh, if you guys have ever seen The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, this is the Babelfish from that book or movie or whatever you've seen.
So, Fundy, can you read Cyrillic?
Okay. So if you give me about an hour and a half to just re-memorize the basically 60 different symbols that almost every language uses up to, then yeah, I can speak in any language. Any of us can speak in any language, because as long as you know what sound that letter represents, and you just put those letters in order, then any of us can speak any language out loud. It doesn't mean we know what we're saying, but if you just get clear instructions, like an IKEA furniture kit, instruction manual, right? It's as simple as just, oh, this goes there, that goes there, one after another. Just make the sound that the thing is telling you to make. Doesn't mean you understand what you're saying, but anyone can speak any language as
Wait,
long
are
as they
you
just
saying
memorize the phonetic alphabet.
that 60 characters represents all the different characters from all the major languages in the world?
Yes, practically, yes. If right now you just took an hour and a half to memorize the 60 symbols that are basically the only 60 sounds almost every popular language in the entire world uses, then you can, I mean, that might help you to be a con artist, if you wanted to. Like, hey, look at me, I'm pretending to be Russian today. You wouldn't be able to, listen to someone speak it back to you and understand what they're saying. You wouldn't know what you're saying, but you could convincingly sound like you know what you're saying, because it would just be reading a script of sounds to make with your mouth. Do you guys get that? Will you guys please just look up the International Phonetic Alphabet chart? I mean, there's even an interactable
But
one on
dude, there's way
Wikipedia.
more. Like,
Make the sound that the thing is telling you to make. Doesn't mean you understand what you're saying, but anyone can speak any language as
wait,
long as they just
are you saying
memorize the phonetic alphabet.
that 60 characters represents all the different characters from all the major languages in the world?
Yes, practically, yes. if right now you just took an hour and a half to memorize the 60 symbols that are basically the only 60 sounds almost every popular language in the entire world uses, then you can, I mean, that might help you to be a con artist, if you wanted to. Like, hey, look at me, I'm pretending to be Russian today. You wouldn't be able to, listen to someone speak it back to you and understand what they're saying. You wouldn't know what you're saying, but you could convincingly sound like you know what you're saying, because it would just be reading a script of sounds to make with your mouth. Do you guys get that? Will you guys please just look up the International Phonetic Alphabet chart? I mean, there's even an
Yeah,
interactable
but
one on
dude, there's way
Wikipedia.
more. Like if you just like Armenian has their own ones, Arabic has their own ones, Hindi has their own ones. Like
No, no,
that's
no.
already
They all have
hundreds of characters.
no. They all have their own alphabets, but there's a difference between a letter, the alphabet, and a phoneme. Do you know what a phoneme is?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, those are limited to the physiology of the human mouth and vocal system.
Right. And so what I'm telling you guys, a phoneme is just an individual slice of sound, right? That you might make with your mouth. And I'm telling you that
But those are going to take a lot of practice for you to be able to sound even remotely like you can speak the language, right?
If
Because
you
some of
want to
those
sound
are
like you can,
completely.
if you want to
Some of those
sound
are
like you can
completely.
speak Spanish, all you got to do is spell the word socks, and it sounds like you speak Spanish.
Yeah, so Fundy, like you wouldn't be able to pronounce a bunch of words. Like even if I just repeated one for you tonight, you're not going to be able to pronounce it worth a damn.
well, it's not about repeating. I'm saying when you learn the International Phonetic Alphabet and you know what this symbol means, and then the next symbol after that, and the next symbol after that, there's no guesswork in pronouncing. You know how unfair it is, right? In America, our kids go to school, right? And they're taught the ABCs. And then they're given a book and the teacher says, sound it out. But then you know how unfair that actually is, right? You get the
Yeah.
word you get the word kernel, or you get the word thought. You know what I mean? All these sort of weird, how would you sound out, as we tell our children in school? In schools, how would you tell them to sound out the word thought? They'd say, right?
You know,
That's the way.
English. Yeah, English has a bunch of weird random rules that have just
But,
come
but if
into
you ta-
existence.
but if you taught kids the International Phonetic Alphabet and you didn't put in front of them, THOUGHT, right? Instead, you put the phonetic alphabet in front of them, they'd say t s a t, and then you say, okay, man, now make it clean, and they say thought, boom, right? It's literally that's the superpower of the International Phonetic Alphabet. It actually can always just be sounded out.
As easy as addition, yeah. And I heard that actually the hooked on
But
phonics system was so good, but it was removed, perhaps because it was too
but
good.
but
Go ahead, Jay.
but like, well, first of all, I have two kids that I've taught how to read, right? So I mean, I've directly, like, I know how to teach kids how to read. I mean, you don't start with the weird exceptions like kernel and like night is KNIGHT, that version of night, right? You
Yeah.
do teach them phonetically. I mean, that's how you start them off decoding and reading, and they learn to decode, like, the basic rules of it before you start teaching all the weird retarded English exceptions that exist.
You actually never teach kids the retarded things. We all just expect them to pick it up along the way.
Well, of course, yeah, because they'll practice. I even make my 13-year-old still. I make them read. I make them read at least a chapter every day. Still.
Is that your
Um.
oldest kid? Is that your oldest kid?
Yeah.
13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I I I beg you, man, take Literally, it's only going to take you with like a few YouTube videos and the Wikipedia interactable chart where you click on it and then it says it out loud to you. I beg you, man. You yourself take the 2 hours, maybe 4 hours, depending on the person, right? Maybe 6 hours that it takes to just memorize. English has 26 letters, but we make 56 different sounds when we speak English. Learn the 56 phonetic letters associated with individually with the 56 different sounds we make. And then once you master it, teach your kids that. And that will not only help them learn English, that will also let them learn any secondary language or tertiary language 10 times faster than anyone else in their class.
I mean, I don't really see how that would really help you learn a language that much faster. And I'm someone that can speak
I'm not
17 different languages.
I've been talking way too much about this, and I think you should understand it by
How
now,
many
but
languages do you speak?
that's the funny thing, right? I learned Spanish pretty well, and then I had no use for it, never practiced it. Not really, yeah,
Okay.
not a thing I do.
So you don't actually
I could
know
say
if it
one
would
and a
help
half.
you learn languages super quick. I mean, you only barely speak one other
Hey,
language, right?
that's true, but I don't need to be a firefighter professionally trained in order to pour a bucket of water on a
Well, it's
fire
like,
or pull some people out of a house
well,
that's
it's kind of
burning.
like, it's like telling a professional boxer when you can't even box at all, like, hey, I have this method to make you the best boxer in the world, this new
You're
training routine. And then they go,
you're
well,
really
how many
doing
fights
yourself a
have you
disservice,
won?
man.
And then you
You're
go,
really
and then
doing
you
yourself a
go,
disservice by like dismissing and like belittling the thing I'm saying. And I don't want to be your enemy right here, but I do want to shut down how you're coming at me, because if you just ask someone like a language teacher if it would be a great assistance and allow you to learn things 10 times faster if you do learn the international phonetic alphabet. I don't know how often you talk to Spanish or French teachers or German teachers or Japanese teachers or whatever, but if you ask them, I promise you, they're gonna agree with what I said.
I mean,
I'm not saying
I'm
I'm
not
not
saying that
saying this
there's no
like they don't
value.
agree.
I'm not saying there's no value to it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I disagree that it's going to somehow miraculously help you to learn a language, whatever you said, 10 times faster.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you don't know anything about it, and I
No, but
think I
I
could
but I
get
have
tons
learned
of.
many languages in my life, a lot more than you have. So I seem to have a better understanding of learning other languages. Considering, but I mean, how good is your Spanish? ¿Hablas español bien? No.
Yeah, I'm good,
¿Cuántos
bro.
años? ¿Cuántos años hablas español?
That was too fast.
Oh my God.
Oh, wait, hold it. Listen, man. I'm on.
Говорят по-русски,
Hold
да?
on, hold
Говорят
on.
по-русски?
Okay, quattro. Okay, listen. It came to me. Quattro, right? Dude, I answered both of your questions just fine. All right. My
Jesus.
Discord headphone set is pretty low quality when you're on mobile data and a Bluetooth headset. It doesn't come too clear, but obviously I answered, yeah, I'm good, and 4 years, bro.
So
Cuatro años.
yeah, I always wondered if there was going to be another language after English, or if it's just a matter of English becoming, continuing to progress in precision. Because it is almost like the most people will
We got to
argue.
get this.
Oh, go ahead.
We got to get this universal language going on where we're all on the same page. All on. You know what I'm saying? Every human should be able to communicate with every human like automatically without the babble fish and the Google earbud and all that.
Yes. Although I guess they're
You know, even for bilingual people, bilingual people, right? Like, obviously, YouTube search results aren't catered towards even bilingual people.
this is
So,
why
oh, you're in
you'd be,
America?
yeah, this is why you'd be a valuable asset on the board of the members there, because then you could have your input and they'd be like, oh, I like that idea. However, because I think, right, if you want to lead the world in information, if that's your goal, you better allow the people to have some control over exactly right their precision. So with more toggles.
I just want to point out that putting seeds in the ground is like an archaic idea. But when I say it like that, it makes it sound like, it's dumb or outdated, right?
It's a timeless metaphor. Evergreen advice, you could call it. And there's really no excuse for what I was just saying a second ago, because YouTube. Have you guys noticed that YouTube has a new sort of functionality going on where it is auto dubbing? If you know what dubbing means, like voiceovers, right? It is auto dubbing like translated videos nowadays. I think the creator has to, like toggle a thing when they upload the video. They say, okay, go ahead, YouTube, use an AI voiceover, if you will, of my video for any country you want to send it to. I've watched lots of videos in Spanish recently that an AI voice speaks English out loud over him for me. Any of you guys seen that?
Not
Now
yet,
that
but
that's a
that's a great idea.
yeah, well,
I've seen it.
it's already happening, and now that that's an option and the technology's been released for that, there's really no reason to segregate your search results based on what country you're in. If YouTube can just auto generate a translated AI voice over it.
There will probably be some obvious cases of mistranslation, just like we see in the auto caption, where they actually have to hire humans to verify or maybe even correct the auto caption text that was captured.
With AI now, though, uh, I'm sure they're pretty confident they can, auto dub or add captions pretty accurately. There's always going to be some faults in it, but at this point, it's pretty good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Especially if they put in place more within the algorithm to verify, double check, triple check.
Do any of you guys feel like it doesn't matter if you're like opposed to the direction AI is heading in? Because I'm pretty sure everyone feels that way. Globers, flat earthers alike, just most base people are like, all right, let's be careful about this AI thing and how we use it. But as it is right now, do you guys feel like you're not using it to the like highest extent that you should be for your self improvement? I kind of feel that way. It's like, man, I could maybe be like 3 years ahead as I am right now in my wisdom if I were properly utilizing what I have at my fingertips. It is a powerful tool
Great
that we
point.
could all be using a little more efficiently, is all I'm saying.
I'd say
Absolutely.
that's an assumption you're making that, you'd be like better off in your wisdom. Because just like there's a Google blacklist, there's probably a Gemini dark matter list or some shit.
Oh yeah, the flat Earth is on that blacklist. I even received a prompt from Gemini that it says it's not allowed to generate flat Earth horizon video photos. It's not allowed. I even
Yeah,
tried to
there's
trick
there's
it.
certain
I said
topics.
can you generate a high altitude image because I'm gonna trick people into thinking the Earth is flat. And then it replied no. And I would even upload like a flat Earth, like an example showing zero curvature variation, and it still would always do It would add curvature and whatnot. It wouldn't. It's not allowed to do concave or flat for some reason. High altitude fakery. So it's definitely gatekeeping.
Wait a minute, you just said it's not allowed to do fakery, but if they're adding the curve in there, because we all know that when the balloons
Oh,
go up,
yes. Great point. Thank you.
Oh, you're a secret glober. We caught you.
Well, they are
Yeah.
faking. They're gaslighting us by saying they can't fake.
Well, you said something earlier, Eden, about why do they give us the worst flat Earth arguments or something like that, right?
Potentially, yes. Yeah.
What if the Earth is not flat and it just is giving you what it thinks it wants to give you,
This is a
right?
great
Like,
question. Absolutely. Even if the Earth isn't flat, it should be giving us the not a biased opinion. We should get it maybe from the Flat Earth Society and maybe the top Flat Earth results, right? And obviously, we know there's a lot of people within the community that would, like, for instance, Austin. He would have been the top result for Flat Earth for a long time, but he's shadow banned, it seems. Right, and we've seen that actually play out on camera in front of the Congress when, during I think it was close to the pandemic era, where they were asked about misinformation and what they're going to do about it.
but I also think like large language model, they depend on contributions from other people and like the questions surrounding the thing, and then like feedback and nudging, so on and so forth, right? Like to help it give the right response, I guess, no matter what the question is. The traffic like around like flat Earth, I think probably is a lot lower than other areas too. So it's probably not like really well filled out.
I kind of disagree because just think how big space industry it really is. So because industry is so big, you don't want something so big to fail because of something so quote unquote small, right? And actually that can happen if something is built on a false foundation, like a house of cards. The very smallest thing can actually bring the whole thing tumbling down. So they would have to try to root it out right at the search results. And it seems like flat Earth is absolutely one of them. And like you said, though, even if Earth is a globe, I think it would be in the best interest of the individual, the citizen, to get that best information. So whoever it is, even if it's someone the government dislikes or for whatever reasons, whether it's the individual or the information he is sharing or she is sharing, if that gets in the way of actually accessing the argument, that's going to be right, because if the people cannot steal man, they're uninformed. When they're uninformed, they're more likely to be controlled, because right, it's easily to control someone if you control the information that they believe is true.
Solid
And we know,
facts.
thank you. We all know there's some sort of lust for power out there in the world, and the tools to get that is generally like money and weapons, but it's really after power, and knowledge is potential power. And if they're so lust hung, or if they're willing to go to extreme lengths for knowledge, it doesn't make sense that they're just going to hand out the knowledge for free. What they would do is give like a false knowledge, perhaps.
Don't you think
See
it's a
how
problem that
yeah,
that flat Earth doesn't have a model there?
we do have models. The thing is, okay, like for instance, we have a waterlock model. We can do like let's say if we had to do 5 different sizes of scales, we can do like a 1 foot by 1 foot flat Earth. We can do a 10 foot by 10 foot flat Earth, 50 foot by 50 foot flat Earth, and on these, etc. On these models, scaled sizes versions, we can put a water lock. Right, we can have topography, and we could have these water, these areas or basins connecting on different levels, like they do on the Earth, such as water locks. We can actually do this. Unfortunately, the globe cannot do this. You can't do a globe of any size, of 1 foot, like a 1 foot diameter sphere, 10-foot diameter sphere, etc., where you put a water lock on there. Why? Because of gravity. In theory, we could put the sphere out in an area of space and do that, in theory, but because
But
in
that's
science, generally, there's different categories. There's two categories: science and then pseudoscience. And generally, the science that cannot be repeated falls in the category of pseudoscience. So, but I get you. So at least the flat Earth does have like some models. Do we have all models, like a map? No, probably not.
so you're saying that the globe Earth model is pseudoscience because nobody can stick water to a ball.
At this time.
Well, I'm saying that scientific models are useful because they help us know what works and what doesn't, and we can make useful predictions on the globe, right? And so
Oh,
that's why our
yes, for
model
sure.
that's why our model is superior. Number one, because we have one. Number two, because it makes predictions that come true in reality.
Yes,
I gotta,
I will concede the globe has many. Oh, go ahead. Someone wants to jump in?
I gotta. Well, I was gonna bring it back to the last topic we got on flat globe, but so you go first. I just got a question about AI for you guys once we're done with this, I guess.
Yeah, go ahead. I think I changed the topic. Segue if you want
Yeah.
to bring it back.
So back on AI, I guess this is a pretty high level question, but uh, I know this is a true thing that people have done. Like I'm highly confident that this is a real thing. But so I hear people talking about running these AI systems, whether it's a large language model or like a image generation AI, and they say they're doing it locally offline on their own computers. And I just don't understand like how much you have to like what kind of resources and files you would have to download in order to perform all of these tasks, like run ChatGPT as a LLM or run Midjourney or whatever as like a, make me a poster, make me a postcard, make me a YouTube thumbnail, and it's all done locally. And I know people are doing this, right? Like for example, I knew some guy who wanted to make like dirty, not safe for work images, right? And it's like obviously ChatGPT or any of those things, they have like firewalls that prevent them from creating that sort of dirty content for them. So I say, okay, I'll run it locally on my computer. And that's how they pull it off. It's like, what even, like, how many gigabytes of data? Or like, I just don't understand how you can run your own AI on just off your own hard drive. If any of you guys know about that. Do you need a folder full of 1 million images that it runs off of? I don't understand how the information and data is structured on your own local hard drive for it to be able to perform these tasks. Maybe it operates in a way more intelligent way and it has just all sorts of information stored in this compressed binary fashion that can do this magic in a way that I don't even comprehend. But have you guys ever heard of this? I
Oh,
promise
yeah.
it's real.
No, I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't recall how large the offline files like requirements would be because it's probably going to be in the gigabytes.
It's like how many images do you have to have stored for it to pull from in order to basically make whatever image you want it to create for you? It sounds like it'd take terabytes upon terabytes, but I know that's not actually the case because these people you hear about running their own local AIs, it's not like any of them are saying, "Oh yeah, I have a 10 terabyte external hard drive plugged into my processor." It's not that way. I just don't I haven't looked into it too much, but I just don't understand how people are running these AI things just offline locally by themselves.
Okay,
It
I'm
doesn't even
reading
sound
here.
possible.
I'm reading right now. It says image generation. For offline, you might require at least 20 gigabytes of download.
Isn't that's kind of surprising? It's even that little, but
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense to some degree. Yeah. Or maybe the way that some of them are using it is that like the brain of the AI is maybe only 2 gigabytes, but that it has internet access though. I don't know. What do you guys think about how many farmers and communities are complaining about their water, like their well water being like polluted by these data centers that are popping up all around America? You guys have seen the outrage on that, right?
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
It seems like it's happening, and like people are going to like city hall meetings and expressing their complaints, and it's not making much of an impact. It seems like there's just this juggernaut just running through America, setting up all these data centers that are disrupting a lot of communities out there. Luckily, there's not one near me, but I hear people complaining about how there's like either high frequency sounds that you can just hear while you're trying to sleep, or infrasound frequencies that are like bothering your cats and disrupting your circadian rhythm, and all sorts of horrible negative health effects from these things being built by people without their permission.
Has anybody been inside of a data center? Like anybody that you know?
Yeah,
I know that there's only about 100 employees per location, even though some of them are larger than Manhattan.
yeah, I have. I live in Loudoun County, Virginia, where most of them are in the U.S.
Okay, so what's it like in there?
It's just loud. Just rows and rows of
Server mall.
yeah, literally that, and just HVAC to keep them cold.
Yeah.
How large was the one that you visited?
It's like the size of a football field and like 3 or 4 stories tall. It's like 2 minutes away from my house. There's literally like 40
Oh,
of them in my area.
you heard about the ones that are larger than the island of Manhattan?
Oh
Sounds like
yeah.
you're next to a small one. Isn't that kind of like who gave the okay on this? You know, it's crazy that if you got the money,
Detroit having
you can
capital.
just do things. Yeah, if you got the capital, you can just do these crazy things.
It's kind of in the name, you know, the whole capitalism thing.
Yeah. Oh, we have a democracy in America. Yeah, fuck, we do.
These aren't new things, right? We've had
Political and
data.
economic systems are 2 separate things.
Yeah, we've had data centers for 30, 40 years. You know that, right? Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, Loudoun County,
Yes.
you know, almost the entire internet runs through Loudoun County. Every time you open up Netflix, the data is actually locally hosted in, you know, something down the street from where I live.
So we've had data centers for decades, but now that they got the capability to build Terminator robots, you know, like who's to say a data center is really a data center? I'm just a conspiracy theorist. I'm out of tinfoil hats. All I have left is aluminum.
What does that
I
mean?
think the most important thing for everyone to recognize about, the thousands of data centers, some being the size of Manhattan, I think it's important for everyone to realize that it isn't just so your ChatGPT LLM gives you slightly more accurate answers as it does right now or from a year ago. It's for a completely different agenda that they're not telling you what they're
No,
really for.
no, they're telling you it's flat out. I mean, go look at what Palantir is doing.
Oh,
Go look at what
well,
Canberra
if you
is
put
doing.
it that way, if you put it that way, then sure, they're kind of letting you know what it's for. But that's not the takeaway most people, have when they say, "Oh, yeah, the AI data centers, so AI is better," but they don't realize the implications or the association it has with creating like a surveillance state on a degree that and also preparing for, the agentic autonomous robot police or whatever it's gonna, serve the purpose of soon.
No, I mean you can't say ignorance is the same thing to concealment, right? Just because you don't read or don't know something doesn't mean it's being hidden from you.
But there's misdirection, and there's the impression you make sure people have a takeaway with versus like whispering the truth. And then there's propaganda, and then there's like, I told you, I just whispered it really quietly over in the other side of the room. It's like, I said it out loud, you can't blame me, I told you, or at least I said it out loud.
Faith in God will get us through. They said, trust the science. So I don't know, whatever you want to make about the American nation, the Western philosophy.
Do you
So
think that
this nation wasn't a Christian. Sorry.
go ahead. Was it Rakia that was saying?
Thank you. Thank you.
Larry, excuse me.
This nation wasn't a Christian nation, but it was, piled up by a bunch of Christians. But that doesn't mean it's a Christian nation. Under Christianity, the kingdom of heaven is within. So we don't want to establish any kind of theocracy. For Christians, it's, be tolerant of one another. I think the best idea is individual liberty is the highest goal. And of course, if one man wrongs another man, then the highest goal would be to set that wrong right, one way or another.
Well, what if that's the problem, right? Okay, in the framework, it's man running man, but if they introduce God and the right version of God, right? Because there's going to be lots of different interpretations of God, such as Muslim or Christianity. If it was introduced the right version of God into the equation, I think that's a positive for the entire society.
Well, that begs the question: what's the right version of God?
Yes, I think through much reflection and debate, people will agree it's Christianity. That's why it's the number one religion in the world, in my opinion.
It's sort of the issue that flat Earth has, right? Like, what's the right version of flat Earth?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Which,
The right one is just what the Earth is.
Yeah.
Just be the truth.
What is it?
Well, some of us know the answer, though.
Well, I mean, unless you want to trust in certain authorities or government agencies, you'd have to independently put a team together to try to map or model the whole realm. But even if you did that, you can't really access all of it. Like, I mean, extremely high altitudes, like, would be a question. It would cost a lot of money, but to see what your limits are there, your limits down in the oceans, there's going to be limits. And then you can't really just go on all the land, because a lot of it's like government owned or private owned. So you can't just like romp around the earth and do everything you want, so we're limited in all those ways.
And then what? Say like a group of 10 of us get all our money together, we get this thing done, and we do get the proper measurements, and then we release it to the world. And then what is it? Everyone's got to trust us.
Find me a wall.
He just wants a wall. Got a wall.
No, I hear what
I got walls.
Well, you're saying the idea that if somebody put a team together, spent all the money and did it, and then, well, I mean, that's a big question. I mean, first of all, like the paradigm currently would be challenged to such a degree, especially with the shape of the earth question. Like I've always said this, a lot of other things like vaccines or, political corruption or even the Federal Reserve or the media, a lot of those things are maybe not big enough to change the whole paradigm or to change the whole world, basically. I mean, those are all issues for sure, and I'm not saying they're not significant, but the shape of the earth one is the one that if you were able to show it to the mainstream science world, like to the professionals, as it were, of the world, because they are kind of the ones that are, well, they're not, well, it's arguable who's like kind of holding the keys to the paradigm, I guess, but but there are a lot of professionals who are involved in it, and if they were able to see, okay, the Earth isn't actually a sphere, then the whole paradigm would shift to such a degree that who even knows what the future of humanity would be. Like, would the people in power that are in power right now be removed from power? Would humanity get to the bottom of it? Like, okay, who has been telling us it's a globe? There has to be a cabal. A lot of us didn't think there was a cabal, but now there has to be one. Would be the shift. Like a lot of people don't think there is a group right now, a cabal type thing, but secret societies, etc. So then, with that truth coming out, I think it would be big enough that enough humans would have to turn their heads and say, okay, what is going on? And then if the whole power structure changes, then yeah, I hear what you mean. Like, would people just trust these new people that proved it, or would there have to be some entirely new, like, social, political system that would have to be reformed into a whole world that maybe wouldn't have the same authority, that's telling us what it is, kind of thing? But yeah, there's a lot of big questions in that of how that would unfold.
I think
Yeah,
the
if
only
it
way.
doesn't come true.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, guys.
Sorry. I'll be quick. I think the only way that we're ever going to get like an actual government that serves the people like proper public servants is if we tell the government officials, look, you got 2 years. After the 2 years, you go on trial for what you did while you were in office. And without these 2-year term limits, I mean, we're always going to have the Stanford prison guards as government officials.
Verdak, you're up.
I'm just gonna say, like, you're talking about putting a team together, and like the final experiment was an example of that. But then it was totally dismissed, and camps kind of, replanted their flags on both sides of the issue. So I don't know. I'm not sure putting a team together will convince either side, to be honest. I think people are in their camps, and that's how it's going to be.
I
Until,
would
like, space travel's
just
like a thing. You know what I mean?
well, oh, okay. Well, yeah, going up at very high altitude to get observation. I hear you on that. I mean, the thing just briefly about the final experiment thing, that wasn't really like a research team or anything. That was a couple YouTubers. That was a guy who paid for some YouTubers and other YouTubers that paid their own way to basically take a vacation to Antarctica. Now they have YouTube channels, so they have different agendas or things that they're debating or arguing. Like Will Duffy would put out his little debates or discussions, and MC Toon or Witsit or Jaren, they have their channels, but that wasn't really like a coordinated research team. That was really more of just some people taking a vacation and then making YouTube videos about it. And yes, it does have a certain relevance in terms of the discussion about Antarctica and the sun and these different things, but that wasn't really like a coordinated, like, actual research team that would have actually submitted, data to actual other professionals to actually be analyzed. You know what I'm saying? It was like one, like, guy's confliction with flat Earth, and he wanted to pay for some other flat earthers, thinking that he would either get popularity or whatever the whole, like, agenda of Duffy may or may not have been. But I'm just saying that's
Well, I
not
mean,
really the same as like actually going to do test research and then actually submitting that, to other professionals. That would be something that would actually be a breakthrough, and something different than just people that have been going to Antarctica for decades and skydiving and stuff.
but it was never presented that way either, though. It was presented as, let's go see what the sun does, and oh, by the way, we can actually put our brains together and figure out what experiments might give us more evidence for this, right? Because there's a group of, I mean, there's people there that have engineering backgrounds. In fact, MC Tune has an engineering background. I think Critical Think has an engineering background. Dave McKeegan is photography, so he's got a lot of expertise in that. Like, guys that had different skill sets where we can put our brains together, and even as amateurs, present, collect and present evidence in a way that can give others more confirmation one way or the other, I think. But
Do you
And they
think what
recorded.
MC Toon? MC Toon
say
is an
again,
engineer. I don't know. I thought he was like a social antagonist or something. Like, doesn't he just
are
go
they mutually
around making
exclusive?
content on other people? Well,
They're
I don't know.
mutually
Which one does
exclusive.
he actually? Yeah, which one does he bathe in more often? You tell me.
Software
Mm,
engineer, the same as an electrical or a mechanical engineer.
He's an electrical engineer that does software. Yes.
He's a social engineer.
I was gonna go
They
there,
they
but yeah.
did they did do observe, like, they did do observations though. I mean, they
Yep.
had cameras.
yeah, well, like What was
I mean, you
invalid
see
about
that,
the data they collected?
right? So you see that, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Okay, there is no model of a flat Earth that would support this hypothesis that the sun doesn't set at both the poles. So, like, I don't know.
That's not
I
true.
was kind of
There
lost
are
on that.
definitely models that show that. That's not
I would
true.
love to see.
I have asked the question though. Maybe you could answer it, Gio. It's like, how is it possible that the sun could go due south in Antarctica? It just can't be like a circular ring, right? Like we saw it do that. If we accept that it did that, that means that it went outside of the quote unquote paradigm flat Earth. That, like, I don't know, the Flat Earth Dave clock and Sun and Moon app or whatever he calls it presents it as, where the sun is chasing the moon or whatever, and it shows how it lights up different parts of the Earth. That has to be wrong. Like, and so it's back to the drawing board. Sort of, I don't know. That doesn't work.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, like we were told the Earth was a globe. Many people don't think it's a globe, so that one is false in many people's eyes. And then there was this A.E. Gleason's map that was kind of presented on a silver platter, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, as like a dinner plate. Like there it is, this A.E. map thing. They use it for the United Nations logo, the World Health Organization. That kind of A.E. Gleason's type layout is one type of map projection, and that has been kind of foisted and then associated with with the term flat Earth. So that's just another thing that was presented. And then Gleason himself, like in that on his map that that was allegedly published by him and all that. And then in the lower right hand corner, it says at the winter solstice, there's perpetual darkness in that region. So that's just like another proposed thing. And then others latched onto it, like you mentioned, the David Weiss or others latched onto it and in their minds thought, oh, maybe this is it, or this is my replacement, or this is what the Earth is. That doesn't mean they're right. It just means that it's another model, another idea, another conception that was kind of foisted upon people. The globe, I would say, was foisted upon us in a way. That A.E. Gleason's flat Earth kind of combination was foisted upon people. Some latched onto it, some stayed neutral, some questioned it, some made it the logo of their channel or whatever, and they said it's the case. And then some of those people came up with it was kind of proposed the idea that the sun and moon always circle the center Polaris, and then you have the Antarctica ring around the outside. So that's just like another conception. But the thing about the Earth being planar and stationary is that that's not the only like map or concept of a planar stationary Earth. It's one that was presented, maybe foisted, maybe kind of socially engineered, potentially, that it was kind of like Flat Earth Society, and it was kind of, I looked into Flat Earth in like 2004, 2005, and yeah, that map popped up. Like that's what you're going to find in 2004 when you just typed in Flat Earth. You were going to find that map. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that is what the real Flat Earth is. And so, yeah, because some people latched onto it, made a conception around it, and then there's problems with that matching the Antarctic sun, and some of them latched onto the idea of there is no 24-hour sun, but did they prove that to themselves or to anyone? No, they just latched onto it. So there are people wrong in the world about things, so why would that have to be attached to the entire concept of an Earth being a stationary plane, which has been what humanity's thought it was since the dawn of time, just because Gleason's and a few people have foisted that in the internet, whether that is or isn't what the Earth is, like why would that have to be attached to all of a planar stationary Earth, discussions? Sorry, I know it's kind of long-winded.
Yeah, I guess my short response would be then what is the concept? What is it then? Like if it's not this where it does work, if it goes 24 hours around you, and we can also see the stars rotating in opposite directions at the poles, like the globe predicts. Like, are we there yet? Right? Like, I mean, I think New Perspective had something. You had mentioned something last time, and I asked you if it was his, and you said no, it's something different. But I can't remember what you said, or if that's kind of what you're still entertaining, whatever that concept is. But
Well, I mean, there have been dual pole layouts of Earth, of a planar Earth. I mean, that wasn't just related to TFE. I mean, we've talked about quad pole, tripole, dual pole throughout the years. I mean, we've talked about all of those. was a time we were talking about a quad pole because like the way the magnetic field functions and stuff. So I mean, there's been various discussions in terms of that. But yeah, when you have two massive rotations of stars, like the northern, the equatorial region, and then the southern, to have a planar surface, then you would have just that, two massive rotations of stars above a planar Earth. Now,
The
how they
Globers
actually
already claim.
go ahead.
The Globers already claim there's an optical illusion happening in the sky, a big one, where you get converging and diverging star trails. They say that's not actually happening. We see the star trails, but it's not actually happening. So I don't know.
What do you mean?
Star trails at the celestial equator converge and diverge. That's not real, right? That's an optical illusion, right? Are they actually
Well, it's
converging and diverging?
you say optical illusion. We say it's a consequence of the Earth rotation.
Yeah, no. Are they actually diverging and converging, or is that just an optical illusion?
What do you mean by converging and diverging? The spacing between the stars never changes.
Yep, they get farther away or closer together, depending on what
No,
you're looking at.
no, there's no star trail where that happens. What are you talking about? The stars don't get closer and further apart.
Is this your first day? Is this your first day, Geo?
Well,
Geo, you got
No,
hold
that's not
on.
something
Geo's
anyone
got a
sees.
picture. There's a million pictures of it. You guys claim it has to happen on a globe. He just said it's a consequence of a globe. Like your boy just said it happens. So which one of you guys is wrong?
Oh my God, Jeremy.
So what I'm saying
One
is,
guy
based
just
on
said
your
it's a
perspective,
consequence of the globe, and another
let me
guy's saying
clarify, and
we don't
then
even see it. So which one is it, guys?
let me
Make up
clarify.
your
When
mind.
you're what you're talking about is if you're standing on the equator and you do a star trail, you can see that that just to the left and just to the right they make different they'd make different angles, and it's because of the fact that you're on the equator, and it's a consequence of the rotation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're
When you say
saying it
converge and
happens. I know.
diverge,
Jake's saying it doesn't happen.
He's saying that as it rises, they get further apart. As they set, they get closer together, and that's perspective too. But he doesn't want to believe that.
It's fine, whatever you want to call it. We see something in the sky that's not really happening.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Dude,
What does that mean? That's not a response to what I
As
said.
opposed to flat Earth that can't explain anything. You get mad at the fact that, whoa, hey, this shouldn't be happening. This is not an optical illusion.
All right.
It's a result
Yeah,
of the
there's
fact
not
that
that doesn't happen. No, there's no star trails converging and diverging in the sky.
Okay, so there definitely are. Now, whether you would call it apparent or real, or what you would call it. For example, I just posted one little image there that just shows one little shot, because you have two massive rotations that you can see from the equator. You see like half of the northern rotation, you see half of the southern if you're right on the equator, and then you see the stars that are going, pretty straight right above you, but then, just to the left, to the right, you're going to see them. I think one of these days when I was having fun with ChatGPT, and I think ChatGPT was describing it like fanning out and then funneling. So fanning and funneling was kind of the words that ChatGPT was using. So I mean, something that fans out. Like if you take your fingers and they're all together, like all your index, your middle, your ring finger, your pinky, they're all just straight together as if you're going to do like a karate chop. And then if you spread them all out, they fan out. So that's kind of the type of thing it's describing.
another thing here is that you are taking a three-dimensional view here and putting it onto a flat plane. So you're bending, if you will. So the convergence probably is worse on the picture that is flat than it would be in the sky.
That's great. So we do see the convergence and divergence there, Jake. I mean, you
Here we
got
go. He
multiple of
goes
your
right
own
back.
guys
Goes
telling.
right. Johnny one note
We
has
got
to go back to the
multiple of your
one
own
note.
guys. Why are you immediately interrupting me? I'm trying to sort this out with Jake. I don't know how he doesn't know this, but
This is
there is a
literally
convergence.
all they are seeing is the lens. You're just looking at the barrel distortion of the lens in those photos.
So it has
No,
nothing to do with
that is
perspective.
Yeah, that is not what ChatGPT or AIs or even the mainstream story says. That is not what it says. They absolutely say it happens with the naked eye, 100%. That
There's
is not only a
the
camera.
angular
It's not only a
the
camera.
angular. So
Go
if
ahead.
that were true, then you could take two stars on the horizon and measure their angular separation, and then later that night measure their angular separation, and measure a different amount. And that is definitely not the case. Ask ChatGPT, does the angular separation between stars in the night sky change over the course of the night? And it will tell you no, which means that for a fact, it's impossible for those stars to actually be converging and diverging.
Well, I don't think
Even
you'd be able to
even
see it with your naked eye, Geo, because you can't see star trails with your naked eye.
Well,
So you won't be able to see the funnel.
They're moving very slow, but I mean, you can, but they're just moving slow, obviously. So I mean, you have that factor. You'd have to track them slowly over hours, looking at them, or have some way to. Because I hear what you're saying. I mean, they move slowly, obviously. So you're not just going to look up and see a star trail. You're going to look up and see the stars, but the effect that's occurring, because you have the two rotations, like in that last image, or even in. Hold on, I'm just trying to pull another one up I have here real quick. Even in. Hold on, I'm about to post it.
By the way, I asked ChatGPT, does the angular separation between stars change over the course of the night at any spot in the night sky? And it says here, for practical purposes, no. The angular separation between stars remains constant over the course of a night. As the Earth rotates, the entire star field appears to move across the sky together. The stars keep the same relative positions, so the angle between any two stars is always unchanged.
The ChatGPT go out there and look at star trails.
Exceptions. There are a few tiny exceptions. Atmospheric refraction bends starlight near the horizon. Two stars at different altitudes can have the apparent separation altered by a tiny amount when the stars are near the horizon.
Elbow, your comment is just so stupid, bro. Wait, 1 sec. Your comment about how if ChatGPT went out and did it itself, dude, that's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Ever.
So why are you asking the computer whether they do that or not? Right. So it's just gonna get words from somebody else's information.
Do you understand how LLMs work?
Yeah, no
Do you
fucking
understand how
doubt. I'm a
AI
damn
works?
fucking programmer, you dumbass.
You're a programmer. Do you think ChatGPT goes out? Brother.
Let's all settle down,
Oh my
guys.
ChatGPT is gonna get some information from somewhere and put something up. So, regardless of, in other words, he's an NPC asking an NPC something. That's what I'm trying to make.
The image I just posted there is another one from the equator. So yeah, I mean, Jake, you'd have to break down what you're talking about, what you think it's referring to when you're talking about angular separation, because the stars in the north are making a circular rotation. The stars in the south are making their circular rotation. They come and join, those rotations join. I mean, all the lines kind of fan out in the center like an electric field, to where at the equator they're going straight. But like the sun, for example, when it's like, let's say it's 10 degrees, because the sun does these same tracks basically just throughout the year. But let's say the sun was 10 degrees south of the equator. It is going to be arcing towards Sigma Octantis. It's going to be arcing towards the south. It's going to then straighten out as it gets to the equator. And then when it starts going to the north, it's going to start arcing going to the north. So if you were to take from 10 degrees south to 10 degrees north at those times of the year, and you compare the sun position, it is definitely going to be separating. Like those two, 10 south, 10 north, are definitely, one of them is if you're looking west on the equator, when it's north, it's going to arc off to the right like a curveball going right, and then when it's going to the left, it's arcing off to the left. That is definitely a different track. Go ahead.
I don't know how you can deny this, Jake. You have the celestial equator. This is the thing you guys keep rubbing in our faces with the different directions. Like, what do you mean it's not there? It's not there now. So next time some glober says, "What about the stars rotating in a different direction?" I can just be like, "Nah, Jake said it's not there."
Yeah, this is simply a result of the fact that this is a long exposure time lapse. And the optical effects that you're seeing from that long exposure time lapse trying to capture a 3D environment that's rotating in 2 dimensions, like NASA said. But at any point, so if what you guys are saying is true, then we could take 2 stars that are at one point in the sky where they look like they're close together, right? Like, which would be, I guess, in this picture, like towards the center of the frame, right? Where that last one that Geo posted, you'd be able to take an angular measurement of 2 stars, and then later on in the night, take an angular measurement between those two stars, and they would have a different apparent angle between them. The spacing would grow and shrink through the night. That
I
never
know you
happens in
guys say it.
astronomy. That
I
never
know you.
happens in astronomy.
We know you guys say it doesn't actually happen. However, it is a thing that happens. We can see it happening. You guys say no, that's an illusion. That's
No.
not actually happening.
Yes,
Geo
because
just laid it out for
this
you.
is
Bro,
a
you have two circles next to each other, Jake. Like on the North Pole, they're doing a circle, right? And then the South Pole, they're doing a different circle. And eventually those circles get bigger and bigger, but eventually they meet at the celestial equator where they're going in different arcs. I don't know how you're denying this. This is crazy.
I'm going to read this real quick. This is
crazy.
ChatGPT. This is ChatGPT just to compare to what others are saying, just for fun. So this says, yes, if you spend time watching the night sky at the Earth, near the Earth's equator, the stars can appear to both converge and diverge, depending on where you look and how they're moving across the sky. And I did ask it with the naked eye. What's happening is a perspective effect caused by Earth's rotation. At the equator, the stars rise straight up in the east and set straight down in the west. Stars near the north or south celestial poles move in arcs around those poles. Because of this geometry, the stars' paths across the sky can visually resemble lines that spread apart, diverge after rising, and come together, converge before setting. It's similar to railroad tracks appearing to meet in the distance, even though they're parallel. So that is what is described. They're claiming it's a perspective effect, but they do appear to do that. And we would all agree that railroad tracks appear to converge, but we would also probably all agree that when you go out and measure them, they're not actually converging. So that would be the argument you should be going with. Not that it doesn't do it. It does appear to do it to the naked eye. You should be giving the argument if you're going to go with this mainstream kind of narrative deal and just latch onto it. You'd have to give the train tracks explanation. Not to say that it doesn't appear to do that, because it does appear to do that to the naked eye, to the camera, to anything you do it on. It's not only a camera effect.
Okay, the part that you guys are missing is that's not like the railroad track, because the railroad track is actual perspective, right? Because you have the tracks are closer to you, and then the ones further away are further away, and the ones down the road are really far away, right? All the stars in the sky are essentially at infinity focus. They're far enough away that the relative distances is irrelevant to your perspective. The other thing is these are star trails, not individual stars. So if one star came over your head, and then 2 hours later, and that would draw a line on the thing, and then 2 hours later, a different star comes over a slightly different path. That would curve its own. That would curve its own path in the sky, and you would see that as two lines and say, "Hey, look, those two stars, they started close together, and then they went further apart." But no, that's just when they left the trail behind on your film. And so everybody knows in astronomy that the stars, like if you're doing astrophotography and you're actually using a fixed focal length and you're taking pictures of stars, whether they're near the horizon or at your zenith, they will always have the same angular separation, regardless of where in the night sky they are. When you snap that photo, they will always have the identical angular separation. If what you guys are saying is true, there should be a point in the sky where you could point the camera, just like I could point my camera way down the road on the railroad tracks and make it and show a part where the tracks look like they're touching, and I could bring it close to me and look like they're parallel, right? But that's not the case with the stars. Everybody in astrophotography knows that the stars will always have the same angular separation through the night sky, regardless of where you take the picture. You can even ask ChatGPT that exact question. So it's impossible for them to actually be diverging and converging.
Let me ask you a question. So when the stars, those two stars are over you, are they closer to you than when they are at the horizon?
Are they closer to you? Not in any way. Are they
does it
a
appear closer to
quadrillion?
you?
Are they like a quadrillionth of a percent closer to you? Then yes, but technically no.
And do you understand that perspective when you're looking at anything that looks like it's further or something that's above you? That seems to like what they were saying with the train tracks, same thing.
This far away has half the angular size, and with train tracks, you've got tracks that are 2 feet in front of you, 4 feet in front of you, 8 feet in front of you. So every single time you double it, the angular separation decreases by 2. By the time you go a mile down the road, right, now you have, that's decreased by many, many multiples in angular size, right?
Do you understand?
If you're starting by looking at a star that's already.
Do you understand that that's your vision though. Doing that, it's just an optical
No,
illusion, like they were saying. Actually,
not
let
an
me show
optical.
you something.
If what you guys are saying is true, there should be a point in the sky where you can point the camera, just like I could point my camera way down the road on the railroad tracks, make it and show a part where the tracks look like they're touching, and I could bring it close to me and look like they're parallel, right? But that's not the case with the stars. Everybody in natural photography knows that the stars will always have the same angular separation through the night sky, regardless of where you take the picture. You can even ask ChatGPT that exact question. So it's impossible for them to actually be diverging and converging.
Let me ask you a question. So when the stars, those two stars are over you, are they closer to you than when they are at the horizon?
Are they closer to you? Not in any
Does it,
not in any way. Are they
does it
a
appear closer to
quadrillion?
you?
Are they like, a quadrillionth of a percent closer to you? Then yes, but technically no.
And do you understand that perspective when you're looking at anything that looks like it's further or something that's above you? That seems to, like what they were saying with the train tracks, same thing. They
No.
look like they're converged even though they're parallel.
Yes, because something that's twice as far away has half the angular size. And with train tracks, you've got tracks that are 2 feet in front of you, 4 feet in front of you, 8 feet in front of you. So every single time you double it, the angular separation decreases by 2. By the time you go a mile down the road, right, now you have, that's decreased by many, many multiples in angular size, right?
Do you
But if
understand
you're
that's just
starting by looking at a star that's
you
already
understand that that's your vision though, doing that. It's just an optical
no,
illusion, like they were saying. Actually,
not
let
an
me show
optical.
you something.
Jake, are you
It's the geometry of light.
are you working out or something? Are you lifting weights?
No, I didn't take my medication, and I may actually pass out here in a few minutes.
Oh man, sorry to hear that. Well, just take care of yourself, dude. Don't worry about stars if you're
I'm okay. I'm okay. If I don't get the, oh God, I need my pills. No, I'm just kidding with you guys. I'm out for a hike.
Come
Oh,
on,
that's good.
Jake.
Well,
Oh,
dude,
that's great,
don't.
man.
That's just like
I
deceptive.
know.
To
I'm
like
sorry.
get
I'm sorry. I'm
to
sorry. I
like
should have
get
just
me
started.
like compassionate about that. You might be in a
I
problem.
appreciate that, Gio. You have a warm heart.
Well, I'll keep the warm heart. I won't get mad at you for trolling me. But okay. I'm glad you're good. You're okay. If you're just hiking, yeah, that makes sense. You're just out of breath. Okay, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Hold on, I'm posting something.
I mean, I think Jeremy's point bringing this up
Jake,
originally.
take a look at that, Jake.
I think might have been linked to the. I think Jeremy's point originally might have been linked to like what is happening in the sky is whether it's actual or apparent. And I
Right.
think maybe Jeremy's point was linked to the idea that if the stars appear to be converging and diverging, when then someone's saying that they're not, then now the sky is appearing to do something that that they're saying it's not actually happening. So I think that was that your point, Jeremy? And then talking about how the stars are rotating above a flat Earth, like if you bring that principle over, you have apparent versus actual.
Jake, can you take a look
I'm
at
just saying,
the
like,
live stream text at 7 minutes after the hour? 47 minutes after the hour, sorry.
What, the
I'm
spiral
saying like
thing?
the globe.
Yeah, the spiral.
That's just a result of your visual processing of your brain.
Yeah, it's exactly our point. It's
It's called
an optical illusion because that's your brain processes something one way and the other another. In other words, when they're on top of you, they look like they are separated. But as it goes further from you, your mind already puts everything in perspective. And it's an optical illusion that it looks like it's closer, but it's not really happening.
yeah, but if what Gio said
That
was
is a trip,
true,
dude.
then
Totally looks like a spiral.
constellations that have a known
Right? Isn't that crazy?
if you look at a constellation like you look at Orion or something, right? It has a known separation between all the stars in Orion that make up the constellation. And that's a star that's on the ecliptic, right? So it's on the celestial equator. So if what you're saying is true, then what we should see is when Orion rises, then we should see a very different shape Orion when it's near the horizon than when it's up high in the sky. And we don't. It has the precise same measurements angularly separating those stars. The relationship between those stars don't change at all over the course of the night. and
I
any
know
other stars
because
on the
you guys
horizon.
say it's an Jake, because you guys say it's an optical illusion. That's why the star trails, you say they're not actually converging and diverging. This is the reason you give for why it's just an optical illusion, because they're not actually separating. We know you're not like, you're straw manning the shit out of me.
Yeah, but they do fan out and converge together. So like for example, the railroad tracks, if you were to take like a theodolite or some kind of like surveying equipment or even a camera with a crosshair or whatever, and you were to point it at the tracks, you would be pointing at something that is actually converging. Like if you had two theodolites and then you were like moving them along the tracks, they would actually converge. But when you go out there and check them, they're not converging. So it's the same with the stars, Jake. I don't get what you're saying, the angular, because dude, like
Well,
the stars
yes,
are literally fanning out or funneling together. And if you took an angle, that angle is gonna fan out and funnel.
perspective isn't some weird thing that happens in our eyes. Perspective is the actual fact that the angle of the light changes with the distance. That's why, like you said, if you were to like line up two theodolites and look at have one on each rail of a railroad track and then measure the separation between them, the angular separation, and then go down and shoot it further and further down, that angular separation will get smaller and smaller because there is a very real change in geometry that's happening there, right? When you get twice as far away, the angular separation drops by half, right? You go 2 times far away, it cuts by a fourth, right? And so on and so forth. That's not the case with the stars in the sky, though, because all those stars that are up there, they're all essentially at infinity focus. There's no actual change to your position of overlooking at it over the course of the night. They're not getting closer and further away. Not by any amount that would be
We know you
perceivable.
guys say it's an optical illusion. We know it's an optical
It's not an
illusion. It's not
optical
actually
illusion.
happening.
You wouldn't actually see the stars actually ever shift and converge and diverge at all over the course of the night, right? This is something that you're only seeing over a 6 or 7 hour exposure over the course of the night because you're tracking the movement of an individual star across the sky on a spherical Earth using a two-dimensional camera and film. I think that's the part that's getting you guys bound up. This isn't something that you would ever see with the human eye. The stars will never look closer and further apart over the course of the night to your eye.
All right, Jake.
And if you take a theodolite and measure it precisely using use photographic plates to take, snapshots of it, you'll never see those stars ever change in their relative relationship in terms of their angular distance between each other. That will never change.
Are you talking about angular? Okay, between each star,
Yes.
because dude, but here, if you look right here in this image I'm posting in the chat, if you can look at that, I just took one of those, star trail at the equator, and dude, like those stars, like I put shorter there, like in those same track of stars, like they're definitely shorter on the bottom line and then further apart on the upper line. And if you had some kind of angle measuring tool, you would definitely measure that they're fanning out. Now,
that is simply a result of the lens distortion of the camera, trying to capture a three-dimensional environment like that, where you're looking at the entire, pretty big amount of the horizon.
I think the argument you're making is that the stars don't change in angular like between each other, but the northern and southern rotation definitely fans out. Like, yeah, I hear what you're saying about like Orion's belt or whatever. It doesn't get wider and smaller. Like it's not like the belt gets wider and then gets smaller, wider, smaller. Like I hear you on that, like in relation. But dude, the northern rotation definitely fans out from the southern rotation, angularly observable, which is the effect we're talking about. It just does happen, even with the naked eye. I think there's just two different things we're discussing. Are you relating to the northern and southern rotation and how they converge and diverge? Because that's what we're talking about at the equator. And again, they claim it's a train track effect. And in the same way, you can angularly measure if you're looking at it down the tracks how they're going to converge. But when you go out there, you notice that they're not actually converging; they're parallel. But you could definitely see them and angularly measure them if you're just doing optics and see that they are converging. So it's the same with this. Like the mainstream story claims it's the same train track effect, which you said it wasn't, but it's what every mainstream source will say, unless you want to go against them. But so it's the same type of thing. So like that little thing I just made says shorter. Yeah, it will look different. The angle will be smaller. Yeah, I hear you. Orion's belt doesn't expand and contract or whatever. The celestial sphere is consistent. So you have a point on that. I agree on that part. But this converging diverging thing.
They're saying that's my whole thing. Is they're saying it's the thing we see in the star trails is not actually happening. It's an optical illusion. That's not really happening.
So your point is you're linking that to when someone says, "How do the stars work over the flat Earth?" You're saying that you could say that to them, basically. Like, how did they know what's actual and what's apparent?
Yeah, like if you come at us like, why is this happening? I'm like, yo, first of all, when you look at the sky, you have to say there's an illusion happening there. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're seeing in the sky isn't even real. So what's real and what's not? Oh, it's what you say is real, and you know what I mean? Who are you, the arbiter of the sky? Like,
I think Jake had a problem with the phrasing of optical illusion because he's not saying that your eyes are being tricked by something that's not there. He's saying that what's happening is geometric and is actually happening, and that's the result.
No, they say it's not actually happening. He told us about several times just now. They're not separating an angular size. So he's saying that's not actually happening, but we're seeing it happen in the star trails though. So like the phrasing optical illusion or not, we're seeing something happening that's not actually happening. You can call that an optical illusion if you want. I would personally. It's up to you.
Right. I'm not saying one's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think Jake's approach is that he's saying it's a very real effect due to geometry and not an illusion in the sense that what you're seeing is not happening.
So the stars in the star trails, when we see the stars converging and diverging, that is actually happening. The answer is no. He's saying that's not actually happening. So we're seeing something happen that's not actually happening. I would classify that as an illusion personally, an optical illusion. You can classify it however you want.
Sure.
I mean, what's an illusion? What's an illusion?
To me, when I think of an optical illusion is
define it.
You're I mean, I could pull up the actual definition, but
pull it up.
Sure.
Pull it up. Pull it up. Let's get some definitions going here. This is ridiculous. Like we gotta.
Excellent. Let's play the flat Earth definition game. Woo-hoo.
It's not a game, bro. It's an optical illusion, bro.
I'll take optical.
You guys are claiming it.
200, Alex.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
this is Merriam-Webster. It says a misleading image presented to the vision. That's the definition that they're giving. A misleading image presented to the vision.
That's what you guys are saying is happening. We're seeing this misleading image because that's not really happening. I mean, it's by definition an optical illusion.
So, Jeremy, if I'm standing on train tracks and I see them converge, is that an illusion?
Are they actually converging?
I don't know. Are they?
He's asking you, are the tracks you're giving in your
scenario.
example? Yeah, are they actually parallel in reality,
they're normal
or are they
train
converging?
tracks. They're normal train tracks.
Yeah, so you see them converging and it's not really happening, right?
Is that an illusion?
By what Geo just read, sure. Maybe bring one up there it doesn't fit an illusion.
Another definition is an object causing a false visual impression. That's another definition of optical illusion.
That's exactly what this would be. What you guys are claiming, it's a false visual impression.
Okay,
it's
Jeremy,
not really happening.
Jeremy, if you want to agree that seeing train tracks converge, and how about the truck? As the truck pulls away from you, it appears to get smaller, but we know that trucks normally stay the same size. Is that also an illusion then?
You could call it that. Well, unless that's
if you see something happening that's not actually happening, It is by definition an illusion.
So basically, everything we see is an illusion then.
Well, I mean, you could say a perspective does have an optical illusory effect to it because it gives you like you said, something that looks like it's smaller. You say, "Oh, this thing's going away from me. This car looks tiny," and children go through that. Sometimes they're like, "Why does it look so small, mommy?" And then you have to kind of describe,
Yeah,
like to a child.
Where's the Father Ted one?
They could crush your head
Yeah, crush
with
the
the
head
fingers.
guys. Yeah, I was thinking about that. The head crusher guy was on what Saturday Night Live
It's
a long
just an
time ago.
illusion, dude. Don't be scared. It's an illusion. You got to look at the sky and say there's an illusion happening there. It's okay, bro.
Fine, okay, then if you want to say that, then basically everything we see is an illusion.
You could say that. I wouldn't say that, but you could.
According to you, the truck's getting smaller is an illusion. We know the trucks tend to stay the same size. Train tracks don't get together, actually.
And in the meantime, you guys are looking up at the sky going, no, that's an illusion. That's not really happening, which is fine if you want to say that.
But are you trying to link that to when someone says like they have some conflict about how the stars work above a planar surface, that you could say that same thing to them? Like they're asking like what is actually happening above the planar surface. Meanwhile, they have arguments that are based around optical illusions, things that are not actually happening, even though it appears that way.
Yeah, like I said, when it comes down to it, it's like, okay, so you're the arbiter of what we're seeing is actually what's happening or not. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, would they? Because they'll come at us. How's the sun doing this? And how do the stars have illusions going on up there? So who am I to say?
Oh, there's your angle. So now you can say everything's an illusion, therefore flat Earth can work because we only see illusions. I knew it was going to go somewhere.
I never said everything's an illusion. You're the only one who's ever, up until I said it just now.
Well, I mean, you seem to say that. I mean, we've agreed that train tracks coming close together is an illusion, and trucks getting smaller is an illusion, and the guy that was crushing heads, that's an illusion, right?
So let me say this part. So I'm looking this up. So all geometric perspective effects, all geometric perspective influence perception, but not all optical illusions rely on geometric perspective. I think that's where the issue's coming from.
I don't have an issue. We got something we're seeing. You guys say we're seeing this thing that's not actually happening. Like I said, you can classify it as an illusion or not. I know that's whatever. Feels some, certain people feel some way when you got to say there's an illusion going on in the sky, but it's an illusion.
Yo, is it what it appears to be in actuality, or is it not? The thing going on in the sky.
Well, that's what's.
Well, they say
the
convergence and divergence isn't actually happening.
Well, that's where the sky is different because like with the train tracks, like if we only could view the train tracks, and you were like let's say you were trapped in a cage, and all you had was a little opening in the cage, and you could look at train tracks, and that's all you can do. You can't go to them, you can't touch them, you can't walk out there, you can't put a measuring stick, you can't do anything. You just looking at them. How would you ever know if those tracks are actually converging or if it's a perspective effect? The answer
That's
is
Plato's cage, man.
Yeah, Plato's cage. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, that's the thing. So the sky is like that. Like we can't go up there, we can't touch it, we can't get a sample, we can't measure it, we can't take a measuring stick. We're just looking at it. That's it. That's all we can do is look at it. And so that's why making like grand claims about it or how it fits models is always going to have some level of limitation up to what actually is happening. Because the train tracks, we can look at them and then we can go check, we can go physically measure it, and then we can go back and look at it, we can go back and forth. You can't do that with the sky. Even in the globe model, you can't do that with the stars. They're light years away. Good luck getting there.
Yeah, that's the exact entailment. So if I say, is it what it like is the thing happening in the sky what it appears to be, or what it actually is, or what it is in actuality? And if you say, oh, that's what it is in actuality, well, that's a giant positive claim with a giant burden of proof, but it's what it appears to be. Well, that's the regular claim that people make, but you can't have it both ways. It can't be what it appears to be. Actually is.
They claim the stars are doing this thing, but then in the thing, there's an optical illusion. Like, I don't know, Jake must have missed Star Trail week, but that's why they were fighting so hard. You remember Bacon, Geo, during all that? Bacon was saying we wouldn't actually see that with our eyeballs. It's just because the transfers of the 2D plate on the thing, on the camera thing, like they were fighting so hard for us to not actually see that with our eyes because they needed desperately for there to not be an illusion there. Because now they have no argument about the sky. It's like, you don't know. You're just saying things.
Great point.
That's what I struggle with. So like, when you say something like that, Jeremy, it's hilarious, but you're also just telling the truth about. Like, I've seen you do this where you say it in such a way that, well, it's just so absurd. No one should be claiming this. But in actuality, yeah, it's saying, yeah, this is happening in actuality. And in actuality, it's an illusion. What appears to be your actuality, though? Which one?
Well, I've made this point
Yeah, the
before
glow.
where it's like, it's difficult if people feel like if they concede something in here that they're throwing out their entire model. I don't know why they do that, but
That's the inch in the
Anchovy,
mile.
if you missed Star Trail week, I think we did it about a year ago, maybe a year and some change. Shit was crazy, bro. It was off the hook. What a crazy week that was.
Careful. Legend has it, if you say that word one more time, trouble about is summoned.
Yeah, if you say it a third time, that's a wrap.
Yeah, don't do it.
By the way, just for fun, I asked ChatGPT this. I said, do the stars appear to change in angular position when they converge and diverge? And it says, yes, the stars really do change their angular positions relative to each other in your local sky coordinates, even though the actual stars are essentially fixed relative to one another. So they're claiming what they know is actual, even though that's what they appear to be, and no one's gone to the star to check anything.
That's so strange. Your question, do the stars appear to do a thing? And it says yes. In actuality, they do the thing. That's such a conflation. There's the apparent and there's the actual. These are different things. How is the chatbot conflating that? The AI is conflating those.
It might just mean like in actuality, we actually see that.
Like in actuality, it is in apparent position. That
like
gets
in
kind of
actuality, we see the thing. We see it. We actually see that.
Yeah, that's what it should mean. That's okay. So that's what actuality should mean. But Geo asked it, do the stars appear or seem to do a thing? And it says, yes, they do the thing in actuality. I mean, isn't that an error or no?
Oh, that's wild.
Well, it says yes,
the
stars really do change their angular positions relative to each other in your local sky coordinates, even though the actual stars are essentially fixed relative to one another.
Yeah.
So they have.
Okay, so let's try an example. Does the magician appear to cut off his hand? And the chat bot goes, yes, the magician cuts off his hand according to how you perceive it in actuality. This is absurd, you guys.
Well, it would kind of be like that if you saw the magician cut the woman in half, and someone were to say, "Did that man just cut that woman in half?" And you could say something like, "I mean, yes, from my observation, from my perspective, it looks like he cut her in half." But then actually, he didn't really cut her in half. If you go, it's a trick, and there's not blood everywhere, and a person who just died. But I mean, when it comes to the stars, what's tricky about this though is that they're claiming that they know what the stars are actually doing light years away. That they have absolutely no way to confirm or verify. They've never been to a star, never touched one. They've never gone to one star and then measured from that star to another star. They've never done that.
Yeah, you have no idea if the star trails are actually doing that and the other thing's an illusion, or if the star trails are the illusion and they're actually doing other. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say? Just you're the arbiter of what's going on in the sky? I don't know.
That's what they do.
Well,
they kind of
you
put
guys
forth.
are being a little bit too charitable too, because you're already granting that the star is a physical thing with qualia that can be gone to. So like that's being charitable, by the way. So that's not a negative thing. But you guys are like, okay, yeah, we'll be charitable. The star could be an actual thing.
We give them a plank length. We give them a plank length.
Right. So like, you see how that's charitable though? You say, okay, well, it could be a thing and a destination. that one could traverse to and then map to another one. But that hasn't even been proven that it is a physical thing with qualia, with qualities, physicality. That hasn't been demonstrated. I'm just saying it's more ridiculous, and you guys are being more charitable than you have to be, which that is a good thing. I'm just saying it is more ridiculous than that too, though.
We always try to give them the benefit of the doubt and shit. I do anyways, at least. I'll play
I think it's
along
good.
with their
That's the best
games
way
and
to
shit.
flesh out someone's idea. I think it's good.
Yeah, because good faith discussions are far more interesting and intellectually have more depth. There's more intellectual depth. All the bad faith stuff is just intellectual weakness. It just like derails and degrades like any actual depth, because if you're going to really like analyze a point or 2 points that are in opposition to each other, it's best to like give them their full strength to the best of your ability. That also helps to get to the truth as well. Whereas if you do bad faith, it's just like clouding. It just clouds everything up and just makes it to where you don't really get anywhere interesting.
Correct. Yeah, it's intellectual snobbery. I'm about to play baseball against Geo, but I'm sending the goons to his house to take a crowbar to his legs first. I mean, it's intellectually. That's not.
It's not gonna be a very fair game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
what
then
was
I'm
the
gonna
ice
claim
skater?
victory over him because his legs are broken.
They did that to an ice skater back in the day.
Yeah, what was her name? I was just thinking of
I
that same
forgot.
scenario.
Oh, she got stabbed, right?
Karen something, wasn't it? By Tanya
Nancy
Harding?
Kerrigan.
No, they hit her.
Nancy Kerrigan, yes. Thank you.
Kerrigan, yeah, that's it.
Did that really happen? Someone came and took a crowbar to her leg or whatever before?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I thought he stabbed
Rebel
her.
skater.
That's a good example of a bad faith. No, I think it was like an injury to her leg.
Tanya Harding.
That's some seriously bad faith, like in sports. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's real bad.
Well, I've joked about like
It's
sometimes when
apparently bad faith. It's apparently bad faith.
Well, when people do all the ad homs and insults in the middle of a convo, I kind of jokingly say it's like if you're playing basketball and you're all like, you're playing, you got a referee, you're trying to play, and then one guy just pulls a dagger out and he's just stabbing people. Like that is not going to be a fair game of basketball if you're just going to be stabbing people in the middle of the game.
The stabbing was the tennis player.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I got those two confused.
Yeah, Nancy Kerrigan was crowbar from Tanya Harding, I think.
You guys ever heard of a basketball player getting like attacked in a parking lot to cripple him? But like ice skating is that level of competitive that someone would do that in tennis too? Why not like I guess basketball players might be more like I don't know. That's just a strange thing.
Hey, so I don't know.
You start stabbing someone in the middle of a basketball game, Gio. You're like, what do you mean? This is just how I learned to play basketball. Where? Where?
This is not basketball. This is something different. Well, I don't know if we're gonna stay on the star topic or a different one. I wanted to say from before, just briefly though, before I forget, because it's like been lingering on my mind. Just I know it's kind of going back, and then wherever we want to go from there, we can go. But just Verdak, you were saying earlier, like the sort of like final experiment thing, and when if there's tests that are done, people are going to contest it. I know it's from way back earlier in the convo, but I wanted to say that to that. Like I totally agree with what you're saying, dude. But think about this. Think about what would happen to the globe community if there was data that showed non-globe. There may be some very interesting fractioning, dissection, breaking apart. Like that would be wild. Now I hear what you're saying about the 24-hour sun thing. You're right. It did. There was like people within the flat earth where, some said it was fake and they're clinging to the AE map. Some said, okay, well, I was always kind of 50-50 on that AE map anyways. And now I'm less into it. There was that camp. Who did accept there is a 24-hour sun, et cetera, et cetera. So you're right. There was contention, and yeah, some people said it was fake, some people said it was not fake, all that. And I hear you, and yeah, technically that was data that would contest at least that AE map concept of the one sun circling around Polaris. Like, yes, it would contest that. At least it would allow, you would have to have some other explanation if you're going to maintain that kind of map layout, or kind of disregard that map as being viable, potentially, or, et cetera. So But I'm just saying, dude, if tests were done, because I was talking about like, you'd have to like present those to the scientific community, and even in the scientific community, it would be contested. Like even if you had like some curvature measurement that was physical, tangible, and you were able to replicate it, you would have some professionals saying, no, this is false. You'd have some saying, oh, actually, there is something to this. So I'm just saying, dude, I hear what you're saying with that. Like, you're not going to probably do any one test and just convince everybody of anything, probably. Like, there's going to be all kinds of camps. But I'm just saying, like, in addition, think about what the globe camp would happen if you started putting forth data, whether it's gyroscopes, data in airplanes, or flying around you find that you can't fly from the North Pole to the South Pole. All these tests, celestial angles to stars, and then mapping them to see whether they match a planar or spherical surface, measurement distances, whether they match spherical or curved. But I'm just saying, like, think of what would happen if that was presented, and even if it was true, like you actually do show that the distances don't match the globe, or you do show that, etc. Think of what would happen to the globe defenders, as it were, or whatever you want to call them, globe team or globe asserting people, or even to the scientific community. I'm just saying, dude, like it would happen, that way as well. Like if there's data that contests the globe. So.
I mean, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know. I mean, it would have to be something pretty profound to come out to, I don't know, change the paradigm, if you would.
Well, yeah, there's changing the paradigm of the whole world, and then there's changing like
Yeah.
people who are defending the globe against a flat Earth assertion. You know what I mean? Like there's that, which is a very small group, really, of the ones that are actually defending it. Versus like the mainstream who would defend it, though. If you went and said, no, the Earth is flat, they would say, no, it's not. They would become a anti-flat Earther, or they already kind of are. So, yeah, I hear you. Any data that's going to go against the paradigm is going to cause an upset, of whatever it's contesting.
Yeah, it's such a huge state secret, though, potentially. So
I mean,
it's like,
I get the appeal from that point of view. Like, I totally do. I mean, look, like I'm a big JFK guy. I'm convinced the CIA definitely off JFK. You know what I mean? So I'm like in that camp that has that line of thinking. But when it comes to the globe, I don't know, man.
Well, let me ask you this. I hear
I
you.
can't.
No,
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of globe earthers who like either question the moon landing or JFK or 9/11, even though they still think it's a globe. So I got you. These are all like in their own category. And you don't maybe put the globe in with the larger deceptions, and you're like, you kind of, stop there or whatever, whereas others think that the globe is part of these other deceptions and so on. But so I hear you on that, the position, at least that you have that, hold that position. But I was just going to say real quick too, like if let's say a group of flat earthers and globe earthers all got together and did a test that showed that there was no curvature to water, let's say, it would be fascinating to see how many globe earthers in the world, whether they're kind of debating against flat earth or whether they're just mainstream people, how many of them would say it was faked? You know what I mean? People always say, oh, flat earthers say everything's fake, everything's fake. Well, how many globe earthers, even if it was a team, you got 10 globe earthers, 10 flat earthers, they go out, they film it, they show everything, and they release the video. And that's it. 10 flat earthers, 10 globe earthers, they release a video. And the globe earthers on the team are not saying it's fake because they did it. They're like, oh yeah, we did it. This is it. But dude, how many other globe earthers? I bet we would see a massive wave of globe earthers saying that it was faked. Like the tables will turn in a very interesting way once something goes, once potentially data goes against what they currently think. You might have millions of globe earthers saying it was faked, it's a hoax, even though, in that hypothetical, it was not faked. So it's just interesting how that.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's fun to speculate, but I mean, no one's done that experiment. I mean, I remember that Netflix documentary that Jaron was on, and the conclusion at the end when the light didn't, go through the hole or whatever. I don't know, man. There's all sorts of fuckery. I have yet to see.
That was deceptively edited for sure, because even
there
were globe earthers and flat earthers that were at that that day at that day, and they all walked away agreeing it was inconclusive. Like, it's not like all the globe earthers were like, yeah, we got the globe result, woohoo. Like, that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. It was and Jaron went back later and he said that there was like bushes that were likely blocking it. So that was definitely deceptively edited, and it got everyone chuckling, laughing, and even to this day people post memes that say, oh, interesting, we got them. It's just totally, like, it's just wild to see something that is just known
Yeah.
to those who are involved to be not the case, that's not the result they got, but they edited it to make it look that way. And then people that have a bias and want to somehow ridicule others or show that they're right or whatever, still use it to this day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for me, like, I don't know, all the podcasts, all the debates that happened leading up to the final experiment, and then how it unfolded to me, I don't know. To me, it was kind of like, I don't know, man. To me, it was kind of conclusive. I mean, because I was buying a lot of arguments from Flat Earth up until that point. But I cannot, I have not seen anything, a model or any other explanation that would explain how there's a 24-hour sun at both poles. Like, it just, if there's something out there that would make sense, but I haven't seen it. And to me, I don't know. It was just interesting because a lot of the people that were arguing, with this experiment saying, oh, the sun's not going to set, the sun's not going to set, or I'm sorry, the sun is going to set, the sun is going to set, this is not possible. All of a sudden that happened and it was like, oh, that's fake. And like that initial like reaction to it to me just means like, well, okay, this person is set in their ways and there's no convincing them otherwise. So like, but that's why I was telling you about the camps. I think there are two camps, and you're probably not going to convince anyone until like space travel becomes real. And if space travel never becomes real, these two camps are going to exist. That's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, I do hear you on that. I mean, if space travel was some kind of a independently verifiable thing, like that, your brother, your mother, your sister, your friend, could actually take those journeys or whatever up there and be able to see the Earth or whatever. So I hear you on that. Like, if that was ever, well, I've asked people like who think it's a globe. I've asked them, like, do you think in your lifetime there's going to be a day where, oh yeah, my mother just went to space, she saw the ball rotating. Oh, my brother did it last week, and he saw the Earth rotate. You know what I mean? Like, will that ever be a day? Because right now you can take these trips to Antarctica and go look at the sun there. And I've gone through a lot of the footage, and we've talked about it, and and so on. So I mean, that is something that, I mean, it costs 30 grand, but that's not a ridiculous amount of money. I mean, it's a lot for most people just to pull out of their pocket and pay for a vacation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Verdak, have you actually seen maybe the unreleased version of the high altitude Amazon launch? Because I might have access to it. Let me just post it for you, and then you can consider if it's real or not.
And if you're going to look at the chat on his thing, if you want to look at this, because I was about to post this too, this is called the electric Coriolis effect. Although I don't know if that's an official name or just what the guy who made the video called it. But it shows, like, he puts a magnet underneath this little bowl of water, and then he puts these little flakes in there, and then he puts electrical nodes. Anyways, it shows two rotations, and that water's effectively flat. I mean, even if you think it's a globe, there would be like a fraction of a amount of curvature. So having two rotations over a flat surface is not problematic. When you were saying you can't see how it would work or whatever, but it can be replicated in cases like this.
Yeah,
Not
how
to
much
say
of a
that that's like a perfect. Hold on, I'm talking to Verdak. Not to say that that's some perfect replication, but Verdak, at least you see what I'm saying, that you can have two rotations within a planar environment that's not globular.
Let me check it out. Hold on.
And then I think Eden posted something for you to look at as well.
So you admit this isn't a really good model of what we're seeing, but
There's the crowbar.
I just find it fascinating. It's like, how does your side have a position if you don't ever travel to space? Like, that doesn't even make any sense.
Well, I hold on, that's the show. I just got a phone call, so I'm going to take this call. No, I didn't say it's not. What I said is that it's just not. I'm not suggesting that that's a perfect model of the entire sky. The sky is obviously way more nuanced than little flakes floating in water. So I was just saying that I'm not suggesting that it's some like exact perfect replication, but it just shows you can have, I mean, dude, you can drag your hand through water, like in a swimming pool or a bathtub, drag your hand, you'll see two vortices, clockwise and counterclockwise, a clockwise vortex and a counterclockwise vortex of water as you drag your hand through the water. So I'm just saying having
Yeah,
two
but
rotations within a planar environment is not problematic just in and of itself in terms of the geometry and that being the case. So if somebody says, "Oh, I don't see any way that you could have two rotations above a planar Earth," I just would say I don't agree. That thing I posted, you can have vortexes in water. There's many scenarios that you can show to have two rotational vectors above a planar surface without any globe involved.
but Geo, water is not atmosphere. Like you're talking about two totally different things, bro.
We
So
do
I
it
get
on
it,
the
but
tabletop with fog and
They're
moving
the
your hands through the fog. On
yeah,
both
essentially it's
sides,
the
you have
same
the same
material.
thing.
Yeah, right. Water is the water cycle. It's just changes forms. It goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down.
And what does that have to do with the stars?
yeah,
Well, that's kind of the issue. Do you guys know the point that Gio is making? Because you're kind of saying that the point he was making must have to have been analogous with the stars, and then I'm going to knock down that straw man. But he wasn't making an analogous correlation or causation with the stars at all. I think you
none
guys
of
are
that.
missing the point he was making.
No.
Well, why
I
did he bring
totally
it
get
up
the
in this
point that
discussion then? If it's something totally different, why did he bring it up in this discussion?
Well, you
it's
tell me. What was his
it's like
point?
apples
You're
and
the one who
oranges.
made a Well, you're the one who made a claim about what his point was. So why did he bring it up in this discussion?
To distract
It's
from.
apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's my
look,
claim.
here's the thing. He explicitly said what his claim was. He said, this is just to illustrate how this clockwise and counterclockwise rotation is possible. And this isn't like a exclusive thing to a sphere. He's saying this could be the case, a clockwise and counterclockwise rotation. So it isn't exclusive to a spherical surface. So it doesn't have to directly do with the stars. He just said it isn't
Okay, well,
exclusive.
I can take my two hands and rotate them counterclockwise and clockwise on a same plane.
Great. And in a swimming pool, you can do that. So you agree with
Yep.
Gio.
Right, so
Okay,
it
so
doesn't make you a sphere. So it doesn't have anything to do with the
So
Earth's shape. That
so
was his whole
where's
point.
the water? Both of these are all these things seem to involve water or some sort of.
well, I'd like Verdak to have a chance to respond because what Verdak just said is in perfect agreement with Gio's point. With he can take his hands and do that. You can do it in a swimming pool. So that's in perfect alignment with what Gio said. So if you guys both agree on that point, what contention do you have with what he said?
What do you mean that's in perfect alignment?
It is it's parsimonious with what he had said.
Parsimonious. Wow, there's a big.
That it's possible to have two different rotations on one plane. That's the claim. Correct?
Yes, but it doesn't have to be a certain shape, which was y'all's claim. That this happens because Earth's sphere. Because the plane of reference is shape, therefore this stuff happens. Y'all did it backwards. You did a modus tollens fallacy.
I don't
Right,
think
if
you
you
meant
were to flesh
parsimonious.
that out, it's like the surface, therefore this stuff happens, therefore the surface. That's actually it, as a modus. It's affirming the consequent fallacy. But Verdak, what I mean by parsimonious is congruent, unanimous, compatible, concordant, unified, alignment, in agreement, all this stuff.
I don't know. I'm lost, man. But I
I don't think you
appreciate it.
meant parsimonious.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to respond, to be honest. So
there's nothing to do with the stars or water or smoke in the air in its rotational field having to do with shape of Earth, which is what you guys, the globe side, always asserts. That stuff
No.
does this because shape of Earth.
Well, we could all agree on this, though. We could all just
If you're
agree.
if you're on a ball, right, and the ball is spinning in one
So
direction,
I'm not. Great.
depending on when
All
you're
right,
on,
let
depending
him.
on where you're on the ball, you're going to have a different observation. That's not a claim. That's
Yeah, but
actually observed.
I don't
Now,
live on a
and the
ball,
whole
so the if
discussion
doesn't
about
matter.
star trails, right? I got lost in because Jeremy was talking about the star trails diverge and the angular distance doesn't change and all this other shit. Like, all that is perfectly explained if you're on a ball, depending on where you stand on it. You can do this experiment in your garage with a tennis ball. You can do it with a basketball and a magic marker. Like,
Yeah, but
it's not hard to
Joe's
understand what's
point was that it doesn't matter what it's on. This is an optical phenomena or whatever. It is a phenomena based on just reality
Well,
existing,
the optical
not
illusion comes from
shape of
so it
thing
comes
making
from,
this.
yeah, sorry. So the optical illusion comes from if I put a camera on the equator and I leave that camera open and I have a long-term exposure, that camera is in the same point of observation as the Earth rotates. So you're going to see star trails the way you see them.
Right, but
That's
star trails
very
rotating
easy
in the
to understand.
sky doesn't make Earth under your feet a shape. Just because I see a bird fly in the sky doesn't make the thing I'm standing on a giant bird.
It
Savvy?
doesn't make it, but it's evidence for it.
What do you mean for what? What you haven't seen? You're trying to affirm the presupposition that you presupposed. Now you're just telling
I have no
yourself what
idea
you
what that means.
think, imagine reality to be is what reality is without any type of like objective tests, measurements, anything. Just like, oh, look, sky stuff. I must be a wizard, right? Magic is real. Abracadabra.
No, I'm not a
That's kind of how
wizard.
you sound to me.
I think he's saying that you don't. He's not like you haven't justified the presupposition that the Earth is a ball to make the claim to then conclude the Earth is a ball. You know what I mean? Like you're just presuppose, like you're just granting it to yourself as if like it's observable and like everyone knows it.
I'm granting it to myself. Like, what does that mean?
Do
I mean,
you do you believe the Earth is a
so
sphere or a
I deal
ball
with
or
satellites
whatever?
as well in my
Well, Verdak had a
profession.
genuine question. So, what do you mean by granting it yourself? So, basically, treating it as axiomatic or as a presupposition, which is a necessary truth in order for the function of the thing. That would be granting it. So, like, if you haven't proven that it is a ball, then to treat it as a presupposition, you would be granting it to yourself. Yeah.
So why do I need to prove it when
If
I
you're going to use it
was?
as a necessary start point, like necessary meaning without this start point, it doesn't work at all. Meaning you exclude all other start points. So if you're treating it as a presupposition, it just is axiomatic, brute fact, just true. Then yeah, you'd have to justify or prove that. Otherwise, it's just dogma, unfortunately.
But why?
Yeah. Why, Gally? Do I? Why? Can you prove why we need to prove it?
Okay, so then Tora instantly pointed out, yeah, that'll result into an infinite regress.
I mean, I'm asking why.
Yeah. Okay. So
Why
I mean,
why
because I
make
use
the
satellites as
positive
a bill of
claim in the
communications,
first
right?
place then?
So I can
If
actually communicate with somebody across the globe, right? And I use that using satellite relays in my profession. So why do I have to prove that that does not happen
Well,
when it
aren't
works?
you saying that is your proof? That is your proof, right? You just assume it's a globe, and then I do all this stuff, and it works because I assumed it's a globe. Therefore, it's a globe, right?
It's not
There's
assumptions. Science
but
is
there.
actually launch the satellites, put them in orbit, and then actually use the devices. Prick 158 is one example over MUOS to transfer data, from one element to another element on different
Okay,
parts of
could
the
that
globe.
work if Earth is
So
a
like
football shape? Is it if it's like football shaped? Could that work on the Earth?
a football shape? Well, probably not. No,
No.
no.
So that okay, so right there, it would be an assumption
I mean,
because you
because Peleo
haven't
satellites
told.
are on an orbit, and there's a certain trajectory we have. So there's windows that we can communicate with those satellites. Those are based on equations. We have
Well, my,
time
my goal
windows.
was to help you strengthen
So, like a
your
football would change
position.
that. If it wasn't a sphere, a football would mean that it had to have different comms windows. So no.
It would
Oh,
have
but it
less
could still
curvature in
happen.
certain directions than others. The funny thing is it should still work in certain paths, and the fact that you go, well, no, it shouldn't work, should show you that it wouldn't work on a perfectly spherical object either. But that's kind of besides the point.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's a perfect sphere. I mean, it is a spherical object that we're on, but it
Okay,
still doesn't have any comm
how
windows that we use with calculations. So if you're going
did
to
you
Issue.
suddenly
see
change
it,
the Earth
or
into a
did...
football, yes, those
Okay.
comm windows would be there.
I want to be a glober, okay? So did someone tell you Earth was a globe, or did you leave Earth and land somewhere to then see Earth from another reference point to go, oh, look, Earth. Oh, shit, it's a ball.
Well,
You
we're
don't have to
talking about
prove it to be a
calculated
Glober. You
Earth.
just want to be a Glober. You be a Glober.
You just have to believe.
No, you just want it, dude.
It's all good. I mean, I'm from a basement. It's probably good imagination, but there are those of us that actually use this shit, for real world applications. So I'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
if
Yep.
we're
Yep.
going to
But
outer
do you agree?
space,
Do you agree, though, Verdak, that you can develop all of those calculations off of the celestial sphere and leave Earth out of the picture entirely? You don't even need the Earth. You could just take your position, any
Well, no,
position,
the Earth
and act
blocks
as if you're in
light.
the center. All of those
Well,
positions come from you acting like you're in the center of the Earth. So, like, what does it matter about the Earth?
because dirt blocks my line of sight to a satellite. So no, you can't do that.
Wait, dirt blocks your, yeah, mountains. Yeah, of course. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the equipment
mountains.
we
But
have
you're
is
saying
line of...
so mountains can't exist on any other shaped Earth except a sphere?
There's bigger
I,
problems,
I
though. He keeps
honestly, I don't,
assuming...
I don't see how. You can show me if you got it. Let me
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You want me to show you? You could put like a pile of sand on your table. And you could be like, yo, look, there's a mountain on the and you could put one thing on one side and another thing on the other side, and they'll be blocked by the mountain.
If it wasn't dark outside, I could show you Matthew and I's famous experiment with the grass and the tree.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah, that's huge. We prop up the phone, and it's facing the grass. The grass obstructs the bottom of the tree.
Everywhere I've measured, I'm measuring more than 8 inches per mile square, so I don't know.
Well, the measurements, yeah. The grass in this example is curving quite more than 8 inches per mile squared. Just if you were to envision it, imagine it, if you were to experience it, as I did.
I'm sorry, did I ever get a like how he knows Earth is globe? Like, did he go
He said
somewhere?
because
Did
they're,
somebody tell
yeah.
him, and then he just believes really hard?
No, no,
He'd
his
say mostly
argument.
imagine.
Oh, he did say that. Yeah, mostly imagination. But he said because only mountains can be on. If you have mountains, then therefore the Earth's a globe because you can't have mountains on any other shaped Earth.
No, it's
Yeah.
not an explanation. It's telecommunications. Like I don't understand how that's hard to.
No, telecommunications and all of our so-called satellites, which a satellite doesn't necessarily mean it's not attached to a non-moving object, by the way. You guys really didn't pay attention in class.
So they're balloons.
Satellite can be a fixed object, it can be a fixed thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be loose, free-floating. Especially if you're doing a certain goal, like triangulation. Each tower is considered a satellite.
What are radar tracks for ballistic missiles? Just curious. Are those fake?
Are what fake?
Radar tracks for ballistic missiles.
Are the radar tracks parallel?
Of course they're.
Who said that radar is fake? I don't understand.
Did you say of course they are?
No, I'm asking.
Yeah, you're asking me if I think radar, the thing that we use, on boats and to find fish and planes, is real. And it's like, I'm blinking at my phone screen like, I can't believe you asked that, because it's a paradox. So how do you expect me to answer a paradox?
Why is it a paradox? Because if radar is real,
because the thing you're asking about even actually exists. That's the paradox. How do I disbelieve in something that's real? Like, okay, you don't believe in a brick, but then when I hit you in the head with one throwing it across the room, your belief is a moot point. So I'm kind of confused. It's a paradox to say, do you believe in the thing that doesn't exist? It's like, what?
Yeah, I guess it's semantics.
Do you understand that? No? Yes, maybe?
Yeah, it's obviously semantics at this point. It's all good.
Well, it's a paradox. You brought me a paradox, and you're expecting me to be dumb, right?
No,
but I'm
The Jesus spoken
intelligent enough
paradox
to
is
have
also
caught
man.
the paradox. So now I'm
Well,
trying to
I
press
would
you on your
probably,
logic why a paradox makes sense. I'm curious because I don't get it.
I would probably
I don't know
say
how to
like
answer a paradox.
there's two kind of things going on here. So first, yeah, I do agree. Verdak, the question is kind of framed in that, well, like if Earth globe, how does this make sense kind of thing, but reversed. And then I would say that Cuddle's like, yeah, it's kind of, you might be going a little bit too far with the critique. It isn't the best of faith questions. Like you could probably rephrase it, but the response is definitely not good faith either.
I don't
Are
really know
things
what
communicating?
faith is.
Yes. But
it's simple question. I mean, there's
are devices communicating? Do we put stuff in the sky? Yes. Do we put
I could
stuff
try to
in the
answer the
sky
question.
the way you
Yeah,
see
like
it in the movies?
if we channel together, right? Try to manifest or send. Just Verdak, like if you try to ask me that question just sort of on a plane that's congruent to where I'm at. So can you ask me in a way that I can sort of be empathetic to?
I can try. I guess I'll try and soften it. Maybe that's what you're asking. Yes.
Yeah, if you meet me where I'm at, right, or expatiate. If you have like the space for it, so that way we can, like your mental sphere, your mind sphere, and mine, it can meet in the middle, and we can have some type of like synchronicity.
I don't know what any of that means. It's cool, but it sounds great. I guess what my question is how can I talk to a person on the other side of the world? And only in certain windows, right? Because the satellite that I'm relying on to relay that communication passes overhead in certain windows. And when it goes beyond the horizon, I lose that communication. And why are those windows mathematically predictable? And why do I know them?
Okay, so you're talking to a person who's a huge distance away. I don't want to say other side of the world because we're trying to prove that part.
Okay.
To try to integrate that, right? It's like they're huge distance away, right? And the satellite that you're relying on, it passes overhead, goes beyond the horizon, and you lose that communication. How do we reconcile how that makes sense?
Correct.
Okay, so I've
Or it
got.
goes too far away. I got it. It goes too far away.
Yeah, that could be one explanation. It could be like undersea fiber optic cables carry that signal. There could be towers. There could be geostationary satellites. It's
Well,
like
if a mountain is in the
the
way.
claim of like line of sight transmission and other side of the world. That's the thing where, if we were to try to like, remove jargon, be like less
Okay.
fogging.
So let's just say from the United States to Iraq. That's the other side of the world, right? Whether it's flat or it's a globe. So
Would
let's
that be like Western, Eastern? Yeah, like I think that I could agree with that. Western, Eastern.
yeah, and there's only certain windows I can talk to them because the horizon's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we could be locked into that, like, that paradigm, like the mainstream heliocentric narrative. But what if the communication field, it's not dependent on like singular metallic objects? I mean, I know it's, ironic, singular metallic objects that are like transmitting, across your localized visual planar or plane, right? So like you could be interfacing with some type of.
That's what the globe is. It's just so far it's an unbeatable troll.
The
But anyway.
Earth isn't flat; it's fucked.
No, for real. Do you believe you live on a sphere, an oblate spheroid rotating through a black void of nothingness?
I don't know, Chad. I don't know, and Chad, I don't care. And part of the reason that I acted out so badly was because I was getting triggered by the constant talking about flat Earth and round Earth, and I had a little bit of a meltdown.
Okay,
You're not
well,
alone.
we do discuss that here, so you're going to hear that if you're going to be on the panel. So,
Well, I'm here to offer a counterpoint to all you neighbors. Okay.
in existence. So, I mean, I hear you that the shape of the earth is not going to instantly change your financial status tomorrow necessarily for most people. It's not going to instantly, et cetera. But it could change the whole financial status of the whole world eventually or whatever. If the globe deception is actually like a huge money pit that's going on, especially all the outer space stuff. If they're not actually going to space, there's a huge amount of money being wasted. So there are a lot of practical implications of what's going on. I mean, right now, the U.S. government is taking millions upon millions of dollars every day from the U.S. taxpayers that could be going to starve homeless, to starving people, to homeless people. They
Fuck
could
the
be going
poor.
to help
Fuck
people.
the poor. I hate the poor.
And
Fuck
they're
'em.
just, now, hold on, I'm just saying, if they're lying about outer space, there's millions of dollars that could go to help people's lives in a much more productive way. So that's another way that it matters. But lastly, I was also going to say, I mean, does truth matter to you? Because if it does, then whatever the truth is should matter.
I mean, it depends the truth on what. Like the truth about like the shape of the Earth doesn't really fucking matter to me, dude. Like I'm just trying to find like how is it going to change your life in any meaningful way?
Truth matter? Does the truth on all fronts, just everything that's true, does all of that matter to you?
No.
Okay. So you think matter?
Chad, no.
Truth
Chad,
doesn't
no.
matter?
Chad, yes. Chad, yes.
Does any truth matter? Do any truths matter?
That might.
The only truth on this world is that violence is the ultimate authority from which all other authority is derived. And so the only thing that matters is what the strong say. Bless your heart, you don't even know.
No.
Well, you better find out, Goyam.
I bet I could get you to agree that there's a bunch of other truthful things that do matter to you. For example, I don't know if you have a girlfriend or a wife, but if she was cheating on you, or a boyfriend, whatever your orientations are, if this romantic lover partner was cheating on you, wouldn't that truth would matter?
Okay, so now you've brought up something that would, personally affect me, right? So, and the whole point is that I asked you for things that personally affect you, right? Or, well, that I pointed out that this is the thing that doesn't personally affect you, but I guess you're trying to get me to consider the truth. So yeah, of course, the truth on a personal level matters to me, right? So I do have to keep track of, personal affairs and the truth, within my personal affairs, sure.
Yeah, and other things, like if you're gonna go ride your bike or drive a car, the truth about physics is gonna be important too. Like what happens if you if you go too fast or run into something or whatever like that.
Sure.
I mean, in terms of what the Earth is, your general thought that it doesn't instantly change your daily life. But I mean, I could even go as far as to say that the globe Earth deception is hugely affecting humanity, like that it's affecting all of our lives. Because if we're being lied to on this large of a scale, that would imply that there is a group behind it. And then that group, what else are they doing? Are they making healthcare, politics, corruption, the media, like potentially a ton of other, genetically modified foods? I mean, if it's all related in some of these ways, then, big pharma, like.
Yes.
If the Earth wasn't a sphere, would you want to know?
Sure. Yeah. I'd want to know either way.
Beautiful. Maybe weighing the pros and cons of switching and the time to switch, if they're ever going to consider.
There already are flat Earth movies, flat Earth video games. You got Minecraft, you got Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
There actually are, but yeah, they're not like implicitly denoting. Well, they kind of are. I mean, Lord of the Rings takes place on sort of a planar world. It's not really on a globe or anything.
Keeping people in Middle Earth, and they're controlling the rings. Yeah, the boundaries. Absolutely. But it'd be still a huge opportunity, I think, in all types of media. Journalists can go out back in the field to have reasons to investigate and then contribute to the science. So there's lots of opportunity.
How's everybody? Don't jump in all at once now.
Can't complain. Hope you're doing even better.
Yeah, I'm Jim Dandy. If you cared, I'm as happy as a lark.
Awesome. We were just talking about flat Earth. Are you flat earther as well?
Yeah, I'm very much into the spiritual aspect of the contained earth. I like to think of it as a contained environment. So, like, the shape isn't that important to me, but I do believe it's contained, a contained environment.
Yeah, I agree. Well said. Thank you.
Say again?
Oh, well said. Thank you.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you for that too. Yeah, I think that our bodies are contained environments, obviously, from observation. But I think because of the way that we immerse ourselves in air with the breathing and the fact that everything exists within an airfield, that is the contained Earth. So I think that there's a mutual, well, I guess you could say a mutual admiration. So there's a type of immersion between the Earth itself and the human being, I believe, from observation.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I even think there's some sort of connection to our body with it being in our eyes, perhaps arguably our most precious sense, and also our other sense, our nose. So supposedly there's a magnetic mountain at the North Pole, or there was initially on the map. There was a black magnetic mountain, and from early reports from my research, anyways, that there were also 2 reported vortices that seemed to change direction throughout the day. So that got me thinking, wow, that reminds me of the nose in the center of our face with our 2 nostrils. And maybe Earth is breathing in and out, and that might be the true cause of the tide.
There's
Earth breathing.
actually there's 2 bodies you're describing here. You're describing the body of the head, and you're
Yeah.
also describing the overall body, which is centered with the heart. So there's actually 2 bodies inside your brain, even within the 2 hemispheres. There's a very small organ called the corpus callosum. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
So this is kind of like the triune relationship of the mother, father, child in many respects, where you have one side, one hemisphere of the brain is more interested in fairness, intuition, emotional things. And then the other side of the brain is more logically oriented toward calculating and getting things done. So you yourself, each of us, is born as a child from a mother and a father. So we have a natural triune format just from being born.
Yeah.
So we see this happen again inside the brain. So that was the point I was making. There's 2 bodies, and they're both showing this triune format.
Interesting. Thank you. Really interesting.
I found that once I recognized that it was easier for me to demand the reason and get an answer. So that would be like the God force or the creator. You know, it goes through all these different deification names. So it's very hard to discuss God because it's given personalities across the religions, and that makes it tough. But there is a force of power of intelligence. So to me, that's the reason. So I don't mind calling it God. It doesn't offend me or throw me off. But I understand how most people attach it to a personality or a judge.
Yeah.
So I think from
Definitely.
our perspective, I think God is showing itself off through its expressions. So I think we're knowing God whether we want to or not through the material world, our bodies. So, I think that's blatantly an observable reality also, that all of us are having an immersive experience through our own body and through the environment surrounding us.
Yes, and we're actually, I think, even looking at the world using our eyes. And interestingly enough, our eyes kind of look like the flat Earth model. You got the white part, the sclera, that's maybe the ice wall, and then the iris, which we probably live on, is medically is a flat ring-shaped membrane, and it comes in primarily the 3 colors: brown for Earth, green for life, maybe vegetation, blue for water. And at the center is the pupil, which is you, center of the creation, or I and others. And it's also black, represent maybe like the black magnetic mountain at the center of the
Yeah,
Earth.
I agree. There's like a magnet source, I believe, in the center of everything. So I think it works like a record player or a compass or a clock or a
Yeah.
seesaw. So you have this center point that's still, excuse me, but it's magnetic. So it's constantly pulling on what it created. So there's this continuous expansion and reduction that's happening at the same time. So this causes a type of replay of creation happening on the ground in real time. So even in our body, if you look at how it operates, even in a day, you can look at it because every day you rise, peak, fall, there's your triune relationship. And then when you go to sleep, go unconscious, that's a form of returning to your origin. When you go unconscious, there's like a reconstitution that takes place in your brain and body while you sleep. So that's like a wave also. You rise, peak, fall, return. So, this is like a constant observable reality within the environment that we live in and our own bodies and our own stories.
Yeah, it's wild.
I think the main thing that we miss as a species in the era we're living in is that we give up on observable reality because we focus a lot of our time and energy on claims. And not that there's anything wrong with checking out claims, but the person making the claim or the entity making the claim, they bear the weight of proving or demonstrating their claim. So there's a lot of things.
Unless they use violence. Unless they use violence.
Oh, absolutely. That's the reason money actually works. The reason money works in the world is because it's backed by the militaries of the world. They do that secretly. That's
It
not
is
covertly.
partially backed by gold and fully backed by M16s.
That's right. Well, it's mostly backed by might. The word you need there is might. So the reason money actually exists and is real is because of might.
That's right. That's right. We was mighty.
Now we just need might and right to align.
Oh, yes, absolutely. That's the seesaw. The seesaw goes back and forth perfectly when the two partners are having a good time. But if one gets bent out of shape, the seesaw gets tilted. So the longer it stays tilted, the worse things get. We live in a man's world right now, but don't you think it would be more fair if we lived in a man and woman's world in the way that we do things?
No. No.
Woman president coming
there
up.
are differing opinions on that answer, so I understand.
Yeah, some people want a woman president immediately, like yesterday.
Well, our idols actually are our downfall because the more that we idolize our leaders and our heroes and villains, the more we pass on our own self-authority. I mean, I understand that we live in a system of systems, so we're not going to change overnight. But I'm just bringing up the point that idolization started a long, long time ago before any of us got here. And it's only gotten worse as the human species gone along. And now we'll idolize anything. We'll idolize the money in our pocket, some device that we own, some property that we own, some relationship that we have, heroes, villains, you name it, politicians, leaders, celebrities. It's like off the charts how much we idolize.
Yeah. Great observation.
So this is the return to our pure splendor that we started at. I mean, we had all these experiences of separations. So now we have to reclaim our power. And, we've been enjoying the luxury of having these experiences of separations, but there is a point of no returns. So at some point, we do have to reclaim our authority.
Absolutely.
I've been writing about this for like 6 years, but I started thinking about this when I was a child, when I was like 7 years old.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, I rejected adulthood at 7. I told my mother, I said, I'm never going to be an adult. She chuckled the same exact way.
That's great. Innocence. Such an amazing thing.
Well, I made an oath with myself that I would discover how the wool was being pulled over people's eyes. So, I got into salesmanship and marketing, and I even got into real criminal games like swindling and conning people. So, I did my share to try to figure out what the workings of the criminal is and how it affects generally across the human population. So it turned out that through a lifetime of discovery that the main trick is actually manipulating our thoughts, which extends to our emotions. And the main trick to do that is through manipulating the speech and language. It's like a map that we hold that is used against us. But if we were able to understand how to read the map, like I did a lot of work to learn how to do it, but it's available to all of us to read this map. And it's just as mutually available to show you the truth as it is available to lie to you and manipulate your thoughts.
Absolutely. In fact, even trap and then enslave.
Absolutely. It becomes a prison. Like, you could think of the word colors, like we're living in a world of separations between black and white, and that's where colors are. So we're living in this world of colors, and it has all this variety. But the attachments and the systems we build become our collars. So this is it looks like a divine coincidence the way that colors and collars. What happens is you put two L's in collars, so you're literally canceling the L. So in the word color, you have a legitimate L because it's not duplicated. But in the word collar, like leash or collar, that has two L's. So when you reduce words, this is one of the tricks I learned over the years. When you reduce words, you remove the vowels and duplicates. So you see this dynamic between color and collar, where collar loses its L.
Interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, in the color, you have a perfect triune because you have the two vowels and then three independent consonants. So color is much more legitimate word. It's CLR. And there's certain words in the English language that will reduce to CLR, but clear would be one of the most obvious ones.
Yeah, English is fascinating.
It's an aggregation of the history of humans over, say, the last couple of thousand years. So English is basically a pulling of all the languages into a master language. And I know that's a trigger word. I don't mean it that way. I meant that it's widespread. So English is being used widespread, and it's like a dominant language across the earth right now.
Oh yeah, big time.
So for that reason, there's value in investigating it. It's notoriously known in education as a compound language, which means it uses pieces of words or root words to assemble compounded words. So we're taught early that it's a compound language, but we're not taught to break it apart and investigate it.
That's true. Like, for instance, the word conscience, con Latin for with, science, knowledge. So with knowledge for conscience.
Yes. And if you extend the meanings on CO words, if they're not just CON, all CO words with a consonant after have the same meaning, generally speaking, at the most reductive way, and they mean coming together to gather. So that's part of my personal discovery. That's not going to be written anywhere except where I write. That last thing I just said. So some of the things I'll tell you, they're known facts and already accepted widely. And some of the things I'm going to say are going to be developments from my own ruminations.
Beautiful.
So these symbols that we make, these letters and these words, they're a way to precisely focus the ideas. And these all connect to our brain, the emotional side and the logical side. So there's just constant bending of reality that we're doing when we speak and then focus on the ideas in our mind. So this is like part of the main power of the brain and the human being is the central nervous system in the brain. Now, the brain isn't as electrical as the heart. So the heart is actually the nuclear reactor that powers your body. And everything's connected in your body, but the heart is the nuclear reactor, it's the coal furnace. But the brain is the interface between your inner world and your outer world.
And what's your penis?
Well, the penis is actually your baby face that you wear in between your legs. Same with the vagina. You wear your baby face twice, once in front of your head and once between your legs. You were living in two bodies. One is in your head and one is your entire body. There's another opposite that binds you. That's your inner world. which is a lot more ethereal because it's clear inside your body physically, but it's also where your thoughts form, and that's more of an ethereal thing. So your memories, your thoughts, your emotions, that's your inner world, and your clear body because you're clear on the inside. Outside is where everything's separated. So that's where your brain goes to work and tries to parse out or collect the find definitions for all this different type of discovery process of the separations, but you're operating from a unified state in the inside of your body. Would you like to know where 6 and 9 come from and how come they're shaped the same exact way?
Yeah, let's hear it.
They're a perfect split from the 8, the most sacred number in the universe.
Oh, I like that. I haven't heard that before, but that makes sense.
So when 6 meets 9 at the end of the human journey, they reunify and become the 8 again. So when humans started, they started as a dot in the middle of the 8 out of nothing. And this is symbolically now, okay? And we have it in our 1 through 9 scale. So it started as that dot in the middle of the 8, became an X, then became the whole 8. And then ultimately the 8 split to have the experience we're having now as mortal, perishing beings. So when the 8 split, we became males and females. So now we live in the mortal world as males and females.
Interesting. Yeah, no, people think English is interesting. Numbers is some people think it's just as interesting. Some people even think
Well,
numbers became or English.
I did study gematria for like 3 years, and I total lies and full shit. And I was able to solve every mystery about gematria. You get ready for this by removing the J from the count. That's all I had to do. Remove the J from the count, not from the alphabet, just from counting. So instead of J being the 10th letter, K becomes the 10th letter.
Okay.
So every decode in gematria is wrong because they count the J. So it's a total con job on the people of Earth.
Interesting.
So since this is so mysterious that one little stupid person like me found out the truth, nobody will take me seriously that I've told it to. But, you know, I've solved almost every letter pair, digit code there is in the alphabet and the digits by just removing the J from the count. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
No. These are mysteries.
Isn't gematria that board game where once you play it, you have to complete it?
No, that's where they match the letters to the sequence of the digits. So they just count from 1 to 26. But there's 3 different forms of gematria, but none of them make sense. And all of it makes sense when you just count a 25-letter alphabet, A to Z, 25 natural countable letters. The J was added later. So the J is like an anomaly. It's not definable. So it's there between the K and the I, but when you're counting it, you don't count it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you. It makes sense that some people who would have wanted to create words with a certain value would maybe use that sort of science or knowledge.
Yeah, it goes all the way back, this science of reducing words and connecting them to the sequences. Believe it or not, it goes all the way back to Babylon. It's an old science. It's kind of hidden right now, and there's a lot of controlled opposition in the world that the hierarchies use. So it actually benefits them to have all these gematria experts out here giving false information out to people.
Yeah, confusion. Yeah.
Yeah, it helps them a lot because the more they can keep us off balance, the more they can keep us in a state of dependency where we're always seeking remedies, and they're always right there offering remedies. It's kind of become like a criminal world, but I don't think anybody's missing that anymore.
Yeah, according to one thing I read recently from the UN, corruption is costing the worldwide economy like trillions every year. It's probably an understatement, but
Well,
That
that would
sounds
be a
kind of
cool.
gay. The worldwide economy.
That would be a cool statement if people at the highest level were even using money, but they're not. At the highest level, they use power and might. So, like, believe it or not, at our level, money's real, but most of the stories they tell us are fake because the highest levels, that the banks just cash their checks because they're all like in a gang together.
Oy vey goyim, your government's corrupt and we can't squeeze you for every nickel.
Look, Larry Fink just said in a public conference that the data centers they're building will be paid for by the pension funds of the people of America.
That's
He said it.
yeah,
He said it publicly.
good, good. Fuck them. Raid their 401ks.
You young people, it's so great being young. I remember.
Look, man, the 401k, dude. The 401k is a scam. If you have a 401k, congratulations, you've been scammed.
You could always convert it to something that you could hold in your hand.
Oh yeah, yeah, like one of those things that they use for thousands of years, and it is hard to obtain, and is beautiful and shiny, and
Oh, you're talking about a fleshlight.
Actually, silver is worth more than gold, so if I would recommend silver if you're going to buy metals, even though it is heavier to carry because you got to carry more of it, but eventually it'll be worth it.
What isn't a scam these days? Also,
what he just said, fucking silver and gold, bro.
okay.
The only thing that's going to save us now is ourselves. We have to face each other. There's two ways that you can face in this lifetime: toward your fears or toward your fire.
Towards your fears or towards your fire? Is that what you said?
Yeah, fire is actually an element. It doesn't mean something burning. I know we say, look at that. What we're really saying is, look at that thing burning. Fire at the most reduced base is an element, and it's the base element of everything, of the entire earth realm and all of us.